You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Woo, this was a weekend to remember and a week to absolutely remember, to be very, very clear. Oh my goodness, we have so much to catch up on, of course, as always. And, I'm just feeling really pumped. I'm really feeling excited. This summer has been a blast. There's been, of course, a lot of chaos and madness and everything else in between. But I must say this summer has continued to be filled with surprises and lots of joy, and that's important. I just I'm very much on the mindset of work hard, play hard. That has been the theme of my entire summer, and really the theme of 2022. Like, I am definitely busting my ass out here in these streets, making it do what it do, but I'm also like having big fun, or as they used to say on the Cosby Show, big trouble, in a good way though, or big fun. It was big fun. It's big fun, but big trouble is also important too. But I've been having big fun this summer. And I think that's important because you could get like in your house and be trapped in the doom and gloom of it all. And a lot of our elected officials would rather us stay in the house with curfews and, not having summer and having our summers canceled and, all that jazz. But, at the end of the day, YOLO, right? You only live once. And it's important to, have fun and also, work hard and do the thing. You have to do both. You can't do one or the other. Okay, so if you're just doing a bunch of hard work and you're not having any fun, that's called misery. And if you're only having a bunch of fun and not doing any work, that's called being lazy. So you don't want to have misery and you don't want to be lazy. You want to have both. Okay, and as a Libra, I'm all about balancing the scales. So I'm very much so the kind of person that, like, if I'm going to be putting in some work and having to do what I got to do, I also need to make time for fun. And for me, that means incorporating it in my everyday life. Like the way that people incorporate, I don't know, spinach and smoothies and shit. Like, you have to find ways to interject joy and fun. Because if everything is just like mounds and mounds and mounds and mounds of like hyper productivity that doesn't like necessarily fulfill you, then treating a vacation doesn't become as fun, because you're too busy thinking about all the other shit, or you're so burnt out that you can't even enjoy the vacation, And so I've found that this has to be integral. I have to incorporate joy and fun into my life the way that people try to incorporate kale into every meal. I'm being shady because there's someone I know who just is like always trying to like insert vegetables and things, which is not wrong. Like, sometimes vegetables make sense in certain things, and sometimes it just does not make sense. Like, I think they were trying to make some type of lasagna and they were adding some shit to it, and I was like, listen, you don't need to do all of that. Like, just eat the lasagna as is. Tomato sauce is made from a vegetable or a fruit, all right? It's fine. You don't have to add, like, embed zucchini, squash, and shit in it. Just leave it alone. But I digress. The goal is that you should just try to find ways to incorporate fun. So I'm always doing that. I love to go to events. I love to bring my friends in the mix if I can, because sometimes in some of these super hyper professional spaces, it can get a little boring, to be honest. Or sometimes it can just be unnecessarily tense. But it's great to like have your crew and your friends that could be around along the way. And so I always love to find those opportunities to do that. And that's what has made this summer, I think, really sizzling in a great way. I mean, first of all, it's hot as hell. Let's just start there. Like, it is hot as hell right now in Philadelphia. You could crack an egg right now and it probably will sizzle with how hot it is. And I'm not complaining because I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks. Or actually, 2 weeks. No. Actually, next week I'll be headed to Vegas. This is in a week. God damn. Yes, I'll be in Vegas in a week for the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, which is going to be fire. And I'm super excited because some great news just came out not too long ago. But I have been nominated for my 11th Salute to Excellence Award for my work in journalism. This one is nomination for best magazine commentary for my piece in Rolling Stone magazine. That great piece about the Black queer revolution and writing about Little Nas X and my wedding and all those great things. So that has been getting a lot of nominations. It got a GLAAD Award nomination earlier this year, and now it's getting a coveted nomination for NABJ. So I am super excited about that, and just lots of joy coming into this convention, which is in Las Vegas, which, as you all know, Vegas has been growing on me. I never thought I would be a Vegas girl, but it's fun. You have to plan accordingly. And, I went for my mother's birthday, and it was a great time. My father-in-law lives in Vegas, so I have some Vegas connects, and I'm super excited too because I made some reservations for some restaurants that I couldn't go to the last time I was in Vegas. So Hell's Kitchen, I got that reservation. Jose Andres's Bazaar Meats. They have a great tasting menu. And I was like, I want to go to restaurants that is not in Philadelphia. So that was the planner in East Coast. So I'm super excited. And I'm nominated. My 15th consecutive Suits of Excellence nomination. So I'm just all excited. I've won 4 NABJ Suits of Excellence Awards, and I have had these nominations within 5 years. 11 consecutive nominations within 5 years. Yes, I'm a bad bitch. I'm going to just claim that. This could be my 5th win, which is pretty dope. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. The gala is one of my favorite parts of the NABJ convention, along with the Sports Task Force party and all the jazz. So people who've gone to NABJ conventions and listened to this podcast, you all know. I really think it's going to be a big, huge homecoming. It's going to be hot as hell in Vegas, but we're at the Caesars Palace, so that's fun. I was in the Paris Hotel last time, but this I'm in the Caesars, so I'm just making all of my mental notes on how I want to plan it and act accordingly. But it's going to be a fabulous time. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to eat my way through it. And I'm also going to, turn up and catch up with journalists and also network and connect and all the very important professional things. But we're going to be representing Philadelphia. There's a contingency of a lot of Philadelphia in the house. Philadelphia is the founding chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists, and I'm the proud president. We have the biggest chapter, the richest chapter, and Philadelphia will definitely be in the building representing. So, PHL, we're making it happen over there in Vegas. So, getting myself ready for that. I got a brand new suit I've never worn. Got it custom fitted, tailored. We got to do tailored now. I just had to give it up. I got a brand new Navy suit. I'm super excited about it. Got some brand new shoes I haven't, worn in public. And my friend Amanda has an obsession with black men, let me clarify, in navy suits with brown wingtips. Now, quite frankly, that is to me not attractive, but I guess the cishet men, I don't know what the men are doing, but she likes that look. Personally, I just think that is just very basic as fuck. Kohan wingtips on a navy suit, groundbreaking. It's giving I am in my first year of law school, right? It's giving, I am. My girlfriend picked this out and told me to wear it energy. It's giving I don't have a little pop or a little flair, right? I'm not seeing pockets square on the man. I'm just seeing these little cute little brown wingtips. I'm seeing this navy suit that's probably fit to wear, right? And it's solid, but it's taste. But apparently ladies love it, right? That y'all love that, and y'all love that blue, picnic striped shirt. I call it the Basic J crew shirt. You know what I'm talking about, fellas. It looks like a picnic mat, but it's blue cross stripes white. I feel like every man has that, and it's flannel but not flannel, but people love to wear with them. That's the standard shirt. Every man I know that's somewhat stylish have it, and every man who's not stylish has that shirt. You all know what I'm talking about. And it may not, there's a lot of groups that are making it. It's not from J. Crew, but y'all know what shirt I'm talking about. And everyone wears it. It's the, I don't know what the fuck to wear, but this will work shirt. So, yes, I do have that shirt too, myself. I try to get it to be a little bit big. I like to jazz it up a little bit, but it's pretty much, if I don't know what to wear, I can get away with it. But when I see the dudes wearing it with the blazers, I'm like, okay, baby, you gotta switch it up a little bit though. But it's the look. It's the look. You all know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, put in Basic G Crew men's shirt. It's that blue cross stripe flannel plaid looking thing, blue white plaid shirt basically, and it's long sleeve, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. Anyone who has tried to go to stores and look for something that looks decent, that shirt looks good on any race of man, any type of look. It's just such a basic shirt. It's not special, but everyone has a version of it in their closet. So anyway, I have a navy shirt. I will not be wearing it with brown wingtips. I will probably be having a stylish loafer that's a little bit more flavorful. I love a good wild loafer. I went to Aldo and found a couple of dope shoes. Aldo is like up and down for the men now. It's women have for a while told me that Aldo was like hit and miss for them, but for men it was like the go-to place. Now Steve Madden, let me tell you something, that's my favorite as well. I love me a good Steve Madden and I love me a good Aldo. That's like my typical shoe. Now sometimes I might get a little extra sometimes, but normally those are gifts. Like my mom will say, Ernest, you have too many of these shoes. We need to do something different. So yes, my mom still has a role in my wardrobe. I think that's just something that you just can't, it's just she'll find things, and it's, I'm like, Mom, I'm 30 now, but she will find something. I'll like, what? Taste is ageless. Listen, she'll find a blazer, she'll find something, and I'll be like, wow. And every time I go out, I'll try to, mix it in with my son and say, oh, those shoes are nice. Where did you get those? Like, oh, my mom got them from Texas. And I'm just, it's always the thing. You'll know if you look at anything I wear. I'm adapting my style. I think I have it down. But there'll be certain things that will just stand out extra, and you all will like notice it on Instagram or Facebook. And 9 times out of 10, my mother either got it or found it or something. It will most likely not be me. Now the blazers also hurt to a degree. But like shirts and things, it's me. Pants, yes. But if you find a wild shoe, it's most likely her. She just has the eye. And plus, Philadelphia is just not the fashion spot. It's just not. Like, we're not known for that. We're known for food and everything else. But, Texas, everything's big in Texas. The outlets, the shopping centers, the malls. I mean, they have a culture that people still go to malls in Texas. People don't really do malls in Philadelphia. This fashion district, child, when I heard the news about, we'll talk about that later, but that new Sixers stadium might be taking off a piece of fashion district, I cringe, but then also I'm kind of like, well, that makes sense. I mean, because who's going to, let me not name names, but you know what I mean. There's some stores where I'm just like, you can move that there, but let me just say for the record, I am not a fan of it, but there are parts of me where I understand it, but I don't like the location. But I will talk more about it later in this episode. So what have I been doing? What have I not been doing, actually? NLC convention, New Leaders Council convention. I was the host. I crushed it according to the attendees. It was a very great convention. I had a lot of fun. It was great hosting. People from all across the country promote the book. So some copies, of course, because the book is still out here. The Case for Council Culture. You can pre-order it right now. So I had the literature with the QR code, and I was a part of a really great roundtable discussion in addition to my hosting duties, where I was there with another author from New Leaders Council, and we both sat and just discussed our work and what we do and as writers and our process. He was an independent author, and of course I'm a signed author. And so we both talked about, our process to getting our books out there. And it was great. It was very touching. And it was a packed room, like standing room. That was how much love NLC had given me. And I'm an alum from 2019 in Philadelphia chapter. So, shout out to Philadelphia. We did it. We had an award ceremony, y'all, at the Reading Terminal Market. I can't say the last time I went to Reading Terminal Market, but let me just say this on behalf of folks who've gone and like to go there often. There was air conditioning, and it was cool. And they took out the middle part and put a big, huge set of tables, and we had an after party. It was a turn up. Baskets, ice cream was there. There was funnel cake. There was sweet potato cheesecake. We had cheesesteaks and roast porks from some of the vendors. We had lo mein from that really popular Asian noodle place that's there. There was a bunch of stuff. They had the chicken cheesesteak from one area. I mean, it was just so much food. And it was fun. It was just a good time. My husband was there. Everyone was there. It was fabulous. My table had some great people. Kellen and Council Member Isaiah Thomas and my good friend Andre. Of course, Mr. Johnson. My brother Gio, who's also an NLC alum as well. He is NLC alum completion was earlier this year in 2022. So it was just a full circle moment. So many great people were there. And what was awesome is that they surprised me with the 2022 National Equity Champion Award for my media impact. And what was crazy was I was supposed to host the awards. So I hosted the first part, but they told me at the last minute, it was like, oh, we're going to have some of the other NOC alum present the awards, so you don't have to do that, but you can just do the opening. And I said, oh, great. Okay, that's cool. I'll do that. And also I was like, yeah, I get to sit and I can eat, dinner and be with my people. So that was cool. So I was like chilling. Like I was like, I'm the host. It's a good time. They were giving out awards to a lot of great people. And then Mr. Kellen goes up and he presents this award and he starts reading the bio and everyone's like, clearly it's me. And I was like, oh shit. And I was completely surprised. But let me just say, I was so happy I dressed up for that event. And I always dress up, but like I was happy I dressed up. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you like dress good, but I look great. There was some good photos taken. Y'all saw the photos online. It was a good time. It was a fabulous time. I stayed the DoubleTree at Hilton, which was fun. That hotel was interesting. For several reasons. For starters, there's a bistro downstairs. Okay, so sidebar. This is nothing about the convention itself, but this is just what I realized about Philadelphia downtown life. So they're putting a new downtown person that's going to be in charge of nightlife and things down there because it is dead, y'all. And honestly, I am happy a nightlife person is there because something is going on. So there was like bars and things open and crowded and spacey and noisy and all that. But my whole thing is there was nowhere I could just get a fucking chilled iced tea. Like the CVS was closed at around 11ish. I mean, it was like around midnight. So I was out, I'm thinking Center City, everything's accessible, meaning that, I'm in the heart, because I live in West, I'm in University City, so there's grocery stores, like, there's Acme, there's other places I can go to for that, but I'm thinking, okay, I'm downtown, I'm on Broad Street, I'm in the middle, I'm right across the street from the fucking Kimball Center, so I'm in the heart of downtown Philly, Center City. Why was I walking, and like a person that is a night walker, I'll say that, I'm trying to be politically correct, but I was walking like down the street with my new Telfar bag. No one was gonna snatch me. I'm not one of those people that's scared like that. Okay, I don't play those games. So I was like, "Are you worried? Look at me. I am 6 foot tall. I'm a 6 foot tall black man with some meat on my bones, with some long legs and some wide shoulders. I wish a motherfucker would, cause listen. But I was walking with my cute little flip flops, my tie dye Crocs flip flops. And, walking down the street. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go to Wawa. Now, that Wawa on Broad, I know closed. So I was like, I'm going to curve around. Of course, this is getting me closer to Gabriel, which is like, oh, this is too much. So I'm thinking maybe I could go to 12th and Chestnut because I heard there was a Wawa there. Nope, that one is no longer open. So then I'm like, okay, I'm already down. Let me go further down. Maybe I can go to the one across from Hard Rock Cafe. Mind you, at this point, I'm walking through a bar and just a bunch of drunk folks downtown. So I'm like, God damn it, the Walgreens is closed. There's no Walgreens right across the street from where that Wawa was, which was stupid. But anyway, so I'm going down there. Oh, no, that's close too. And this is around 12. So I'm over it. The bar at the hotel closed at midnight. The kitchen was closed at 10. Like, there's clearly no room service here. I'm sitting here like, why is it taking this? And so I was on the phone with my good friend. I'm walking down. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a 7-Eleven. Nope, that Dunkin' is closed. There's no 7-Eleven around there. So I'm just like, where the fuck can I get a cold drink that is not liquor right now? Because I don't want to go to a bar. Like, this is wild, y'all. So I'm walking all the way down. I said to myself, 15th and Chestnut. Maybe I could go to Wendy's. There's Wendy's, I think it opens late. Nope, that Wendy's was closed. That whole strip was dead. So I'm sitting here like, where the fuck can I go? So I'm walking down. I said, okay, maybe I could go to the CVS on 15th and Locust. So I'm walking down and I see an And Pizza open. So you know what, y'all? I went in there. They had cold beverages. I buy some, and of course I get a pizza. Even though I didn't need it, but I was like, fuck it, I'm here, let me get one. So I get that. And the crazy part was that as I get in my Uber to go back to the hotel, because at this point I was not walking down there with food in my hands. Plus on that side, things were a little lit over there around Locust. So I just was like, I need to be in the air conditioning because it was a little hot outside. I'm like, let me get some air conditioning. So as I'm passing by that CVS on Spruce, sorry, the 17th, yeah. So 15th and Walnut was where that Ann Pizza was over there across from Max Brenner. That was open, and they had pizza and they had cold drinks, and people were in there eating and getting their life. So I got my food to go, and then as I got in the Uber down to turn that corner around 15th and Spruce, that CVS that I thought was open for 24 hours was also closed. So long story short, nightlife in Philadelphia is weird as shit, and there's now a new nightlife director or whatever. Congratulations to you, sir, because we're gonna need you to do something. And my request is very simple. I don't need a bunch of bars and shit open in nightclubs. I mean, if y'all want that, that's fine for y'all. This girl's off the market. I don't need to be in a club, sweaty club late at night unless it's, I just don't need it. But what I would like to see is more options for me to, like, get things. Like, what if I had a headache? The hotel store was closed downstairs. Like, what if I wanted, something cold to drink? I shouldn't, like, Ann Pizza was my saving grace in Center City. There was, like, nothing for me to go to. I mean, someone would have argued that I could have walked to a gas station, but, like, these gas stations don't, but it was just hard for me to walk. I guess there was a gas station all the way down Broad, but, like, to me, it's just the fact that there's nothing convenient. Like, there was nothing. And then everyone's asking me where to go. And I'm looking like, well, first of all, I don't really party downstairs. Like, real Philadelphians, some people are going to get their feelings hurt. But a lot of real Philadelphians, honestly, that's lived here for several years. I've been here for 12 years. Center City is, like, not our nightlife scene. It could be for the Jersey folks on a weekend. But real Philadelphians got great neighborhood bars. And it is not in the heart of Center City. And I was, like, my NOCers, they were like, that was at the convention, they were going to Dirty Frank's, which, I'm not a Dirty Frank's girl, but that's probably the closest, but it's a little hot in there. But they were going to Tradesmen and Blind Bar places, and I was like, oh, girl, we don't go there. I mean, not that they're bad places. I'm just saying, like, that's not where I would go on a Saturday night, if you get what I'm saying. So there were people that were going to Silk City. There were people that were going to other places, But see, if I was in West Philly, see, this is what I get, because I was a host, they hosted me in a hotel. So I like the idea of being, like, in a hotel. And the convention was in the Wanamaker building at Mind Spaces, which is pretty cool. So I wanted to be in the area. I wanted to be near. I didn't want to keep having to commute. And also, it was part of what made me a great host, because I was in the environment and I was, able to relax. And Mr. Johnson, I had a really great time, for the most part, to just get out the house. It was like a cute staycation, even though there was, like, work to it. But, y'all, that alone was just a lot for me. Like, I couldn't get anything outside of Ann Pizza, which Ann Pizza is good. I have no shade to Ann Pizza. But that was a sign for me. Like, wow, it is dead. And there's certain areas, like, when I was going down, I think Market. Yeah, Market. That strip around 13th and Market, like 13th to 8th, or was it 12th or whatever, where you go down 8th, that, like, strip, that whole strip was just, like, dead. Like, it was so dead that you could see people just on bicycles having, like, I guess all the people that love bicycle lanes, like, look, at nighttime, you get to have all the bicycling you want downtown, but most of you all probably won't be riding a bike down there. But that was probably the best time you could, because there was, like, no car action. Like, the city's, like, semi-dead. I heard about this, but just to, like, physically walk outside the little neighborhood hub. Now, let me say this sidebar. There was a food truck that was selling the halal rice and the kebabs for $13, and he was talking about he didn't accept Cash App. Now, see, that's the late night prices, because in my mind, I'm like, $13 for the rice. Now, I haven't had food truck food like that in a minute, but in my mind, I'm like, I remember back in the day, so now I sound old, because they used to be like $5, right? And you got a canned drink. $13 for a kebab on rice, like the chicken and rice for $11 and $13. Sir, I was shook. I was like, wow. But I think he was selling that because, like I said, a lot of the people that was in that crowd were either, like, drunk college kids, or they were not from Philly, But Jersey, I guess, don't have anything going on, so they took themselves to Philadelphia for a nice night downtown. Or they could be from Delaware, like Wilmington, and be out here about to get married, but then take their asses and try to holler at one of my girlfriends. Sidebar, if you know, you know. But like you could, the Delaware, Wilmington, fiancés that be throwing their marriages in the trash, or just be living double lives. That crowd was there. Okay, that's the crowd that was there. So they did probably mind paying it, I suppose. I bet they thought that was a Philadelphia price. Well, on behalf of Philadelphia, that is not a Philadelphia price. Period. But nonetheless, the convention was fabulous. So many great people was a part of it. Met so many great folks. I reached 36,000 followers on Twitter. I love going to a convention because convention get my numbers up. Like folks networking. I always forgot that before the pandemic, conventions was like an opportunity to build followers in a very organic way. Like when people ask me how do I get 36,000 followers on Twitter or get like high, have followers like that. I always tell people honestly, I don't buy followers. I've never been that girl. Like why are you buying them? That's weird. And on top of that, like they're not going to give you engagement. Like the fuck. So like I never bought. Like I just was somebody who just said some dope shit online, went viral many times, do cool stuff, word of mouth, networking, meeting people on a regular basis, and just, being the talk of the town, the talk of the country, and the talk of the world, So that's like how I do it. People always ask me, how do I grow my base? Like, one, unlock your account, because if you have a locked account, you're just, people, like that's already a wall right there. Say smart stuff, don't say stupid stuff. Be mindful, be cool, be yourself, and put something out in the universe that's meaningful. Period. That's all. That's all the advice I could give. I'm not going to charge you like these people are charging people tons of money for social media advice, and it's like what? All that stuff is just like 1,000 hashtags. Like I don't use a bunch of hashtags. I've never been that person. Now with food stuff, I do because I want to support the foodies and things and some of the restaurants and promote. So I'll use hashtags for like when I shout restaurants on Instagram. But on other platforms, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why people use hashtags on Facebook. It's pointless. But, enough about that. But other than that, it's been a great. So I had a great event. The Philadelphia Museum of Art had a wonderful event. For the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. We collaborated to do a great summer social. It was a great time. The Lip Brothers were there, and our members had a good time. PBJ members had a really wonderful time. It was really fun to just have joy, and that's been the theme of this summer. I've been like saying, like, these journalists are covering gun violence, poverty, elections, midterms, all kind of shit. Sometimes we have to have a little stepping out and just enjoy things. So it was really important to have it. They were great sponsors. The Art Museum has some really cool stuff going on. I haven't been there in a minute, but it was great to just go out and see the energy and see what's happening in Philadelphia on a different type of tip. And of course, keeping on with the momentum, there's a great event coming up this Wednesday. This is the podcast. Level Up is the club. In the neighborhood. We've talked about Level Up a couple times. It's Black owned. It's gay club. My bestie Jamarcus Henderson is performing his new hit single, Boy from the South, BFTS. And it is going, and it's a stream on all platforms, so you can definitely listen to it. And he's going to be performing that and a couple of his other previous singles, and it's going to be super exciting. He's performing live, choreo and all. Doors open at 7:30 at Level Up. It's in the Gabriel. It's where the old Boxes PHL is. I'll be there with the Lip Brothers with a mask on, masking up, because some of y'all are out here cutting up. But it's going to be fun. And we cannot wait to celebrate our friend, our fave. So that's going to be a good time that Wednesday night. And, we're going to do a little pre-happy hour. Of course, our fave, Jamarcus, is going to be getting ready for his performance. But the three of us, Josh, myself, and George, will be going out for a nice little cute happy hour around the town. And then support our friend and cheerlead on, because it's at a performance. This is his first time performing in a minute because of the pandemic, And so we love a live performance. We love a live show. We're going to be standing out. It's going to be wild. It's going to be epic. And my body's ready. So, yeah, like it's so happy for him. And just the music. It's like good dance music. What's great about this single is that, like, when I put it in my just play it for streaming, my algorithm sets it up where right after that is Break My Soul by Beyonce, because it's got that same bounce music sound, but then it's also that dance music energy. And it just goes well. So I say, you know, people say pair with wine. I would pair with Break My Soul by Beyonce. It just goes. Two incredible, H-Towners, and me, of course, standing for them. It's just such a H-Town connection. So super excited about that. Can't speak enough about it. But of course, as always. Oh. Best of Philly. Shout out to Best of Philly. Best of Philly came out. I cannot go to the event because I'll be in Vegas. I just hate when all the good things are happening at the same time. Like, this irks me all the time. But shout out to my good friend, Deputy Editor Laura Schwartz, on really editing and putting her foot in helping put this together. This is like one of her first big projects for Philly Mag, and she killed it. I'm just so proud of her, and she'll be listening to the podcast and being like, "Oh, look, yes." I'm just wanted to shout you out because you did a lot of great work on Best of Philly, and everyone did. Everyone from the team, the crew did. I did some write ups, and it's just a labor of love from the whole staff and crew, and there's more to come. Best of Philly event is going to be taking place. The first week of August. Tickets are still available for the soiree, the VIP, all of that. So go to Philly Mag. You know where to get those tickets. Everybody's going to be there except yours truly. Yes, I must say, I won't. I'll be in Vegas. But they're going to have fun for me. They're going to have fun for you. The food is going to be great. I know who some of the vendors are. The Best of Philly is going to be in the fucking building. So Dilworth Plaza is going to be that week. Check it out. Get your tickets. It's going down. And if you're listening to this podcast, I do have a discount code. So if you are serious about going to Best of Philly and you want a cute discount code, I'm talking like a real discount code. Not no save 10%, because that's like basically the tax. I'm talking about like 20% or whatever. If you want a real discount, hit me up and ask me. I'll give you the discount code so you can save. And that's the friends and family code. So if you're going to Best of Philly, you want to save, get in my Instagram DM, say, yo, what's the discount code? I will give it to you because, for listening. And yeah, so hit me up. I will give you that code. But other than that, it's been a great summer. I'm super excited. And yeah, let's get on to what's been going on outside of this. So, January 6th hearings are over. The commission has concluded their hearings for now. It's a wrap. Bannon, Steve Bannon has not cooperated, so he's been convicted, which I kind of figured he wasn't. But you never know, because it sounded like there was some lawyers talking to lawyers and maybe something. But he is loyal, baby. He is loyal. And these cases in Georgia are amping up. Subpoenas are being given to Rudolph Giuliani. It seems like the Trumpers, like Trump world, might be facing some possible indictments. There's a black Atlanta area district attorney who does not play that. She was the one who recently did that press conference. The black woman who did the press conference when Gunna and all of them were being charged. Young Thug. I got to keep up with my thugs. They were charged in some big mass conversation with YSL or one of the gangs or whatever, and there's some stuff going on with conspiracy. That's the hip-hop scandals. But she also has been dealing with the Trump stuff as well, and that's coming, because it's interesting how there's indictments going for these rappers, which, arguably if they did something wrong, let's see what happens, but we still haven't gotten Trump and his crew in trouble yet. So it looks like something is moving on that tip. So it's coming from all angles. Reports have said that allegedly Trump is pretty much trying to get the presidency because he wants to avoid getting any indictments and convictions before running. But as we all know, the polls are showing that Republicans and the GOP want to get away from him. They're trying to steer away from him. Some of them are kind of like, too much is going on. You got too much smoke. And they're talking about Ron DeSantis from Florida, the Florida governor, which has basically, there's a lot of attention there. It's not like, in some cases where you got Kemp going against, Stacey Abrams, right? But what was interesting about that Florida governor race is that it was, it had potential at one point. It had potential. And looking at what has happened since then, it's very telling, what happened there between the personalities that were involved and what happened. And Andrew Gillum, for example, is currently indicted right now behind some campaign scandals with his finance. So this is not the him and then he's bisexual and having apparently a drug sex life or something of sorts that was salacious and interesting and weird and just very scandalous. This is about his campaign stuff. So he can't run. So people that's like he needs to go against Ron DeSantis, that's not happening. Like pretty much Andrew Gillum's political career is just like over. Which is unfortunate. He was on an interview with Tamron Hall, I want to say a year ago, where he talked about being bisexual and all these different things and trying to make sense of what happened with those pictures of him, being naked and vomit and drugs on counter. It was scandalous. And he was with a white man, I believe. That's what it was giving. And he was supposed to be at a wedding, and it was a lot going on then. But he's out the question. DeSantis is nuts. Let's just be clear. He's the don't say gay man. He want to buck at Disney dude. He's a lot of things. And I mean, this is Trump, a smart Trump, because he's a smart Trump. He's an articulate Trump. He has the same types of problematic beliefs. He's trash, and he will be more electable than whatever Trump is proposing. That guy got to be stopped, and we got to see who's going to stop him. But I guess the argument is that everybody's saying that the person to stop him would be the incumbent Biden. So Biden got COVID, which was a shocker because Biden is about to be 80, and a lot of people worried about him. But he seems to be doing okay. He's taking the best medicine. I mean, he is a world leader, y'all. He is a world leader. Not the United States president. He's a world leader on the world stage. So he's got access to the best medicine, best services. He's pretty much doing fine. What's been interesting has been the conversation around COVID since light of that. Where my head is at, I've been grateful not to have had COVID. That is a wooden table I just knocked on. Because I'm going to keep knocking on wood. But where my head is at, though, is that what needs to happen, I guess is kind of happening. I've been reading a lot of articles about how even though there's this heightened concern about the contagiousness, now my good friend Abel, he is very super COVID this, COVID that, COVID this. He's big on it. And I'm not judging that. I think COVID is a big deal. But where I'm at with it is that it seems like I want to say this and just I'm talking very frankly here, okay, and I'm being realistic. I'm not acting like COVID is not important because clearly it is. This podcast has been all about vaccinations and washing your hands and all that. But what I will say about it is that what we have to recognize is that this country is not shutting down for COVID again. There are vaccinations, and what we're knowing in the science that if you are vaccinated and you're getting your boosters like you're supposed to, then you will not die, it seems. It appears. I mean, if it happens, it's very small cases. But we're at a point where vaccinations are proving to be highly effective from you not to die from COVID or have severe illness. Now, will you be under the weather a little bit? Sure. But it is showing that for the most well, able-bodied individuals with no major pre-existing conditions. But even if, in most cases, the studies are showing that you will not die if you are doing the right measurements. You will not die. The likelihood of you dying is very low. It's very low. What we're seeing is that the major hospitalizations and those who are having real severe illness and those who are having these issues are people who are not keeping up with their vaccinations, that are not vaccinating. And we got to be real. We knew from the jump that there was a large percentage of Americans who still were not getting vaccinated or not being fully vaccinated and playing games. And a lot of those individuals that were playing those games, many of them much older, these incidents and these deaths and these hospitalizations are correlated. So the country will not shut down again over COVID, in my opinion. If I was a betting man, I would say it would not. I know there was many moments where there was one, strand. But I think where people are at with it right now is, if I get it, it seems like I can't avoid getting it because people are going back to work. People do not have the luxury. Okay, let's be clear about privilege. Some people don't have the luxury to work from home. People don't have the luxury to be very fickle about where they go and where they eat and how they just don't have that. And in reality, the interactions of people, you would have to be in a small bubble that is just not functional for where we are in the economy. You can blame capitalism for that, but that's just the reality. So what that means is that you're going the likely, because if we're hearing that people are getting it even when they're vaccinated, which these variants are contagious, right? There's nothing you can really do to prevent yourself from getting it outside, like prevent yourself from getting it. But right now, the reality is that there was a time where when we talked about COVID, we talked about COVID in the sense of preventing ourselves from getting it. There's not much, it looks like, because if we're going to keep it 100, some of the people that are talking all of the fear mongering around this COVID situation, which is still valid, what they fail to realize is that, as someone who has read those studies too, basically, you just got, the likelihood of getting it in some kind of way, if you're a social person or a person interacting, it is. The only way that you would not is if you literally lock yourself in the house, or you just have a feint of lock. Maybe I haven't gotten it. And I know I haven't because I have definitely done testing, but I've also did the antibodies because I thought to myself, maybe I had it a long time ago. No, it's not in my blood. It's not in my system. I don't have any antibodies. I've not had COVID. I mean, I don't know if it's my immune system. I don't know what it is. But, I am taking the precautions. I am wearing masks in certain areas. I am washing my hands. I am being around vaccinated people. I am around people I try to be around people that are responsible. I do use hand sanitizer often. I carry it with me. I carry me some Lysol wipes. I do keep me some good masks on me. And I haven't traveled yet. I'm going to start traveling to go to Vegas, so that's going to be an interesting experience. But I have not gotten it. And there are some people I know who have, but they've had faster recoveries. And again, it's our normal. It's our new normal. People, it's just you just need to just make sure that you adjust accordingly, like making sure that you're staying up, keeping yourself well. If you're feeling tired, if your immune system's weak, and let's be clear, it doesn't have to be COVID related. But if you're feeling tired, or your body is fatigued, or your immune system is low, whatever the case is, maybe that might be the sign to say, you know what, if my immune system is weak right now, or I'm under the weather right now, then I definitely need to stay the fuck in, because getting COVID with a weak immune system or being sick or whatever the case is, that don't help, right? And also, too, apparently people are saying that to avoid long COVID, once you get COVID, you really need to be sitting down and chilling. You don't need to be doing too much because that can, exacerbate a possibility of getting long COVID. So there's a lot of other elements to this that has made this a lot. But long story short, where my head is at personally, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, so this is one of those disclaimers of I'm not giving advice. I'm just telling you what my thoughts are. If they resonate with you, they resonate. If they don't, they don't. But to each their own, that's fine, because everyone has to navigate this their own way. But where I'm at with it, observing it out loud, I just think that trying to create all of these different variables to avoid getting COVID is just impossible, because it's here. And you could do one thing. I know people who are looking at this as a character judgment. I think not getting vaccinated, being anti-vaxxer is a judgment. I think going out and an interaction happens and you get it, I don't think you should be hard on yourself, because you're going to most likely make it out alive. And if you're someone who's anti-vaxxer and you're not wearing a mask, getting tested often, and just not giving a fuck, and you're literally putting other people at risk, that's the situation, right? and you're putting yourself at risk, or you're putting yourself in environments, and that's not smart. But I look at it the same way of driving a car. You don't drive a car intoxicated. You just should not do that. You should not go to a job interview hungover, right? There's just certain things that you have to make decisions that just make sense. And sometimes trying to force conspiracy theories, like, what the fuck? There was a really good comedian that did a comic act that made a joke about how, people are asking all about the science and all this, but they don't do that with Viagra. Like, men don't run around asking about the science around Viagra, or, people who, get all these other specialty treatments and things for themselves, tanning or whatever. They never talk about the science around that, right? But yet, the moment this vaccination come, here they go acting like they need to know more. But in reality, they're just either scared or they just don't want it. At the end of the day, if that's just how you feel, just say that rather than trying to act like you need to do something else. But we should already know this already. And it's just, again, we have to live in a society where we recognize that COVID is amongst us. And now, monkeypox is amongst us, which the World Health Organization has now declared a global emergency. We knew this was coming. I knew this was coming for a while. I'm not going to hold you. I mean, it was just spreading. But there's just a lot of misperceptions and misinformation and stereotypes. I mean, people are trying to treat this like it's AIDS. To be clear, monkeypox is not new. Monkeypox has been around. There's already vaccines for monkeypox. It's hard right now for people to get access to it, and they're prioritizing certain demographics, specifically queer, trans, non-binary people that are having sex with multiple partners and of whatnot. They can get access. I know New York City has some things going on, parts of California, of course, but they're really putting them in predominantly LGBTQI plus communities, which has led to people, looking at this like a sexually transmitted disease or a gay disease, quote unquote. The same type of rhetoric that many of us may have known about around the rise of AIDS and HIV in the 1980s. Like, it's the same type of narratives and things. And in this case, this is completely flawed. This is not accurate. This is getting, honestly, monkeypox is contagious through skin-to-skin contact. Now, sex can, for anyone who has it, if you're having sex, wherever the concentration point to which you had the interaction, that's where you're going to get it. So if this person has, anal situations where monkeypox is an anal, it's very painful. Other parts of the body can break out into pimples and lesions and pus and things. And they're telling people to just, if you're noticing, these types of symptoms, you need to go to your health physician or go to health clinics that are public health clinics for those who may not have health care. It's a big deal. And, honestly, what the most important thing to do is to just, be mindful. Just be mindful. Be mindful who you're sleeping with. Be mindful who you're interacting with physically. If you're feeling under the weather, if something don't look right on the body, go check it out. Because it could be monkeypox. It could be something else. Whatever it is, get the shit checked out. Do what needs to be done to make sure that you're well. What's good about it is that you won't die if you get the right medication, vaccines. You're not going to die. It doesn't seem like there's any deaths connected to people who are getting treatment. So it isn't anything of this nature, but it just seems like there's been a rise in infections and disease. There's a case for polio that was the first since 2013 emerged in New York. Polio, y'all. Polio, which is 100% preventable. We all got shots to not get polio. So far, these anti-vaxxers, like, you already got shots and you're ready. Shut the fuck up. But I say all this to say that people, in my opinion, my honest opinion, if you want to prevent yourself from getting anything, get the shots. Get your flu shot. Get your vaccination. Get the preventative care. To all of my black and brown people who were always, that look at the Tuskegee experience and all these things, again, this joke from this comedian was saying this, but the joke went along the lines of, which I've always said, is that if there was a mass intention to kill black and brown people with vaccinations, then white people would not be disproportionately getting the vaccinations, nor would they have it accessible for everybody. If they really wanted to kill black people and brown people, they would be putting it, and they would be specifically targeting us, and they would be, luring people. But Same thing with white people. Like, if they just really wanted to kill white people, the guy made the joke and said they would put it in ranch dressing, which is just so ridiculous. He was a funny comedian, but he made this joke. But I say all that to say that the mass hysteria doesn't live up. Like, there is no intention for the vaccine to target specifically black and brown communities specifically when everyone can get access to it. With Tuskegee, if you're going to reference it, they only did the experimentations on black men in prisons. Like, they were targeting underrepresented populations. They were not trying and testing any of this stuff on white men and the white population at large. So if you're going to reference something, you have to, like, I understand that there is a distrust in the medical system in America around black and brown people. Correct. That's 100% correct. However, if you're going to use the analogies, they have to actually match. Like, if they were saying, we want to test trial this vaccine in black neighborhoods only, then I would be like, yo, fuck no, you ain't going, but that's not happening here. They're literally putting it out for everybody. And the people who are surviving are people who have had the vaccine. We're seeing high cases of hospitalizations amongst black and brown communities, and largely because some of those people have had stigma or hesitancy around the vaccination. It has changed throughout the pandemic. The numbers have changed and things have gotten a little bit better. But, like, let's just be thoughtful about this. And that's how we should treat monkeypox. Like, let's not play into stereotypes. Let's not increase stigma. Let's be smart. And I just feel like that's important to mention on this podcast. I just cannot just have all you guys listening and not, like, have you all calming down. So, I want to put that out there. So, in other news, I bumped into John Fetterman and his wife Giselle, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, who of course is running for U.S. Senate representing Pennsylvania. That is what the goal is, for November. He wants to win. It's a big fucking deal. So he was in Philly for 2 private fundraisers. I got a chance to see him and Giselle at their hotel in Renton House. It was great to see him. This is the first time I met him in person since the primaries. I got to meet Giselle, who is the second lady of Pennsylvania, or as she says very affectionately, the SLOP, S-L-O-P, second lady of Pennsylvania. So it was great to catch up and see them, see what's going on in the campaign. John, as you all know, had a stroke. And, there was a lot of people who had concerns about him on the campaign trail. He is recovered. He's taking his time. He's taking it easy. He's going back on the campaign trail. He's doing well. He's strong. I saw him in person. The photo of us went viral on Twitter, of us 3 together. And it came after another viral thread I did talking about his campaign. So in national media, a lot of people have been consistently talking about how, Fetterman has been, his social media team has been really, shit posting about Dr. Oz, who's his opponent, who's a Republican, right, going against him, and why Fetterman's campaign has really done well. And to be quite honest to everyone, you all have been listening to this podcast for several months. I've been following this campaign. I get to talk my shit because I was the only black journalist in Pennsylvania that was calling this race and saying it was going to be a knockout and really telling people that John Fetterman was going to do it. He did. He won the primary. Kay Hivers, let it go. I knew he was going to win. I understood what his campaign was doing. I saw the momentum. I was seeing the finance reports. It was there. It was always there. This man had a strong shot, and everything they tried to throw against him, it just did not work. And as you all know, we did the special edition episode, which is one of the most listened to episodes in my entire podcast discography. That John Fetterman interview on season 2, that was the interview that I think, to me, laid out why this man is going to win. He answered the questions. He laughed. It was a really great interview. And I just really think that what he's got going for him is that his team is going to every county, because their slogan is every county, every vote. And that's how he's been this entire campaign. He's been going to every county. His people have been going to every county. They're talking to people who hardly ever engage with the Democratic Party. They're talking to people who, have sat out races, right? And they've made a point to go to every place outside of just Philadelphia alone. Philadelphia is an important city. Yes, it is. But what we have to be clear about is that Philadelphia will not make or break Pennsylvania. It will amplify it. But a person can, like what we saw with Trump, Trump won everything, all right? He didn't win Philly, right? But he won everything in 2016, okay? And guess what? That's the problem, is that Democrats in Pennsylvania has always felt like Philadelphia is all they got to focus on. Hillary tried that in 2016. It didn't work. Because sometimes, listen, you can have strong support in Philadelphia, but if voters don't like the candidate, they still won't show up. And you can't put all your weight there. You have to put your weight and scatter it. What made Fetterman successful is that he didn't put all his energy in Philadelphia. He put his energy throughout. And so he was able to win every county, even though there was some division in Philadelphia amongst him around the Democratic establishment and all that. He still won Philadelphia. And the person they endorsed came in third, right? Conor Lamb came in third in Philadelphia. Okay, now overall second clearly, but in Philadelphia came in third. And that was even though he had endorsements from the establishment and state senators and whatnot. So it was very telling how that played out. But Fetterman in the end came out supreme. He won. And I believe he will win in November. I believe that it's actually going to be him, and this is my other theory, that's going to help pull Austin Davis and Josh Shapiro for their lieutenant governor and gubernatorial races, respectively. You know, Austin Davis will be the first black man to win a statewide seat as lieutenant governor. He's going to be successor to John Fetterman. That is big. And Josh Shapiro will be another white man as governor, but he will not be Doug, okay? He will not be a Republican. And I think that there is a nice ticket here. And all three of them, you know, are joining forces because they have to. Because all three of them are going to need each other to win. You know, Fetterman is going to get a lot of these folks that don't care or need inspiration to go to the polls. And when they go to the polls, they're not going to vote for just Fetterman and a bunch of Republicans. They're going to vote down the ticket. And he's going to carry that water for them, I believe. The same way that he did for, he brought votes for Tom Wolf. Now, Tom Wolf was going to win, but he brought a nice, strong amount of votes over and enthusiasm for him, and that was measured. So I believe he's going to do the same thing to help make sure that Shapiro and Davis get on that ticket, because a lot of people thought that Fetterman was the weakest link. Fetterman has been strong in the polls. Fetterman has been doing well with fundraising. Fetterman has always been, I think, across the board, consistently doing well. He's always been the candidate to beat, and everyone keeps trying to keep playing him like he's not because they're trying to justify their weaker candidates. Now, I'm not throwing shots at anybody else. I'm just saying that some of these other candidates that, you know, it's just interesting. The Democratic Party is just so fucking interesting on so many different levels. And that brings me to the topic that a lot of you all probably tuned in to listen to. And before I get into that topic, actually I want to talk about Philadelphia's gun violence stuff. Before I get into that topic, I thought that was next on my list, but I built this up a certain way. So, Philadelphia gun violence, you know, I wrote this op-ed in Philadelphia Magazine that came out this weekend that talks about the cancellation of summer in black neighborhoods. And I talked about this in the last episode in the season 3 premiere. But what's important is that there's some updates. So my piece talked about how there seems to be a lot of black events being canceled throughout the summer in Philadelphia. You know, City Councilwoman Cindy Bass had entered her outdoor summer series events. Anton Moore, who is not an elected official, he ended a block party he was going to do for Unity Community, his nonprofit. And Jabari Jones, who is the president of West Philadelphia Corridor Association, he had an event called West Fest that was going to be right around the 52nd Street corridor, I believe, and that got canceled. And I was just saying how, you know, it's a shame that these events are being canceled, and a lot of it has to do with money, police, security, all this other stuff, and that these elected officials that are in these black neighborhoods aren't stepping up to, like, actively work to resurrect these events, to make sure that they happen, to provide whatever resources, to get police fees waived, or whatever the case is. And so I wrote this piece, and I called it out. I said, look, you know, Curtis Jones, who's a council member who's in city council, had an all-white party, okay, in West Philadelphia. And, you know, Jamie Gauthier was there, Helen Ginn was there, all these elected officials are all there, and all white, and it's about like hundreds of them that were there, having a good old time, having an old outdoor fundraiser. No one's worried about gun violence there. But you're telling black people in these communities about curfews and all this rhetoric, or people in your districts are canceling their events, or people around that you know are, and no one's saying, what can we do to like save these black neighborhood events to keep people in high spirit and high morale? It's a problem. It's a double standard. It's not okay. These kids deserve to be outside. I understand all the safety, this, safety, that. But like, listen, shit gonna happen regardless. And there was a really great piece in WHRY where there was some black youth that were in these neighborhoods with these curfews and just talking about how basically stupid it was. And I love when youth get the interview. There were like 17-year-olds and young adults that were just talking about how these policies are just not going to do anything about gun violence. You know, we're creating a police state. People are living in fear. You're putting out curfews in the summer for young black kids. And what's funny is it's not happening in South Philly, right? Not Center City, not Northern Liberties, right? It's not happening, you know, in areas where, you know, folks are also experiencing situations, right? Like everyone, what's funny was there were elected officials that used the Parkway situation that happened during July 4th as a way to justify heightened fear around gun violence. What's funny is that the white elected officials, which we hardly have any, but they didn't use that to stop things from happening in their area. So for example, the Parkway area has the Oval, has Made in America coming. None of them are canceling Made in America, none of them are canceling the Oval, which is like the nice little, you know, big, huge Ferris wheel and all the other good stuff over there. They're not canceling that little carnival out there. They're not shutting down all those things around the neighborhood. Like that's not happening. And white people are not having those conversations about it. And it's funny that, like, none of us in those neighborhoods there's no Parkway in Southwest Philly. There's no Parkway in West Philly. Like, why are we trying to make this false connection? When in reality, let's be real, that was celebratory gunfire. It was not an actual shooter, active shooter. Like the whole panic and everything that was, like I can now say, was instigated by the police. And they never found the shooter. Notice how that story just kind of like evaporated. Yeah, because that's propaganda for you. That's propaganda. All that $20,000 reward if they find the connection or details, but they weren't going to find it. 4th of July, people shooting the fucking air. It's disgusting, but that's what happens in this country. So I said all that to say that after my piece came out, it's been an interesting turn of events. There's been some interesting conversations. So Cindy Bass is now reinstating her summer series events after I called her out on Twitter about it last week. All of a sudden, the event is now happening. By Impact. Yes, I'm going to claim it. Yes, I'm going to claim it. And thank you to Patty Jackson, the legendary Patty Jackson, all these community people who are going to help make that event come back up. I'm happy that it got resolved because I will tell you now that her spokesperson, a person who is a representative from her office, we had a long 1-hour conversation last week, and I told them specifically that I called bullshit on it and I knew what was going on. Now, Cindy has not talked to me. Councilwoman Cindy Bass has not spoken to me or texted me. She has my number. She has not spoken to me as of the time of recording this podcast. But somebody from our office definitely did reach out to me and talk to me. And I did express my concerns. And I'm happy to see that the event is happening. And that's why I tell people we have to speak out. We have to call things out. We have to amplify and use our platforms to create change. There are going to be kids now. There are going to be black kids and elders and community members who are no longer going to be penalized because of the actions of a few. And what's funny is that, you know, with police, they always talk about a few bad apples, and this was another joke that was I heard. But, you know, the other half of that is a few bad apples spoil the bunch. So we see that happens in the police department all the time. They say a few bad apples. I'm like, and then you have to add the part spoils a bunch because that's what's happening in the police department. And the fact that they were even charging overtime. And I looked into the whole city permit details that it's basically large events over 50 people. And that pretty much, you know, that you know, if they give you the permit, all this, you know, if you have a flyer, you have to put their logo or some shit on it, which is, I get it, credit and all that. But some events might require security, might have to require you to request security. And if it does, you have to pay for it and have to pay overtime and all that jazz. So it's wow. But what's crazy to me about that is that what it's telling me is that if I threw a protest, like if I went out and threw a protest, like right now outside, right, police said they will be there automatically. But you mean to tell me that and none of us, right, the protesters, the activists, whatever, they wouldn't be paying for overtime for any of those police, right? Practicing their First Amendment right. But you mean to tell me that a community event that's for the community that's not about money or any of that kind of stuff, they have to sit up and have to pay for that? Interesting. And so there's just a lot of hypocrisy. And I'm happy that this piece has sparked the right kind of conversation and make the impact. And, you know, it's great to see change like that in real time. So, you know, Keep calling this stuff out. Keep talking about the disparities. Let the shame compel these people to do the right thing. That's where I'm at right now. I've realized that with a lot of these city council members and people, I have to shame them into doing the right thing. Like, I have to, because unfortunately the conversations, the pat on the back, the text message, the phone calls, the hey, whatever, none of that's working. You have to shame these people, sadly, in many cases. And even right now, I have to shame someone, right? City Council President Daryl Clark is trying to have a dialogue about stop and frisk. We've already been through this already, people. The ACLU and many other credible criminal justice firms and institutions around civil liberties and rights have already said that stop and frisk is racial discrimination at its finest. It's ineffective in doing anything to solve crime. And quite frankly, it shouldn't be discussed or entertained at all. I do not like Mayor Jim Kenney. I like John Street, let me be clear. But I do not like Mayor Jim Kenney. But one thing that we can both agree on is that stop and frisk is pointless. And even though he kind of, did not end stop and frisk like he claimed, he planned to get those votes in 2015 to black voters and did not do it. The point still exists that stop and frisk is useless and pointless. And so the fact that Council President Daryl Clark is trying to circle back and have a conversation about stop and frisk and how it was administered. Like, listen, nothing's fundamentally changed with the police department now than then. They're still having corruption. There's still problems. There's still racial disparities in representation of police officers. The training has not gotten culturally right. Their union is trash. I mean, there's nothing about the police department that was any different from when we had this conversation, over 5 years ago to now. So therefore, there's no need to have a conversation now because the police have not changed, and stop and frisk will just continue to disproportionately target black men, right? And will continue to discriminate. And guess what? It will not stop the guns. It will not stop the gun violence. Next case, right? So it's been interesting because there's been this interesting back and forth in the op-eds and in the press. So Council President Daryl Clark wrote an op-ed talking about we should consider or discuss. Passive aggressive as fuck. It was a stupid piece. That came out, and then right after, Council Member Isaiah Thomas came out with a piece basically saying, look, we can't do stop and frisk. It does not work. It's problematic. So basically, there's a clash of leadership. Two black men disagreeing, and I believe that that's good. This is a situation where Council needs to push back, and Isaiah is pushing back. He's made himself really big on criminal justice and everything else. However, what's very disappointing is that it seems like Isaiah is kind of scaling back or trying to change the tone of the issue with basically calling out Daryl Clark, because really that's how it was read and that's what he did. The problem is that he did a tweet that was on Sunday that said, quote, "We start this conversation," as Daryl Clark said, "because constituents have asked Philadelphia City Council to put everything on the table for public safety. We need a conversation with everyone at the table, especially communities most impacted." Council President's op-ed. So he shared the op-ed. To me, I just don't understand why he is even entertaining, like even saying, like, shared the article. Why share the article? It's useless. It's pointless. Why share the article? Why? What's the point? Because it's not helpful. And, a good friend of mine, Abdul Ali Muhammad, they said, this is BS. Our black politicians have no imagination outside of white supremacist tools and tactics. Sad, infuriating, and black Philadelphians deserve better than this misleadership who think racist targeting and surveillance will end gun violence. Not the fuck I. And let's just be clear, it's not going to work. You know how we know it's not going to work? Because that's currently the plan right now. It's not fucking working. I have my own thought. As long as it is easier in this city for young black and brown people to get a gun than a job, then this issue will persist. That's on poo, that's on period. That's just what it is. If it's easier to get a gun than get a job or an opportunity in this city, Philadelphia, we have a problem. And that's the problem. I know this, right? I am engaging with the youth. I volunteer. I am doing a lot of different mentorship programs. I spread myself out for the kids. I love children. I grew up in a working family household. I went to public school my entire life. This is I've benefited from programs like community programs and enrichment that kept me off the streets and whatnot. So I'm all about that. And what I'm telling you all, as somebody who was born in Chicago, who grew up in Houston, Texas, I know about guns. I know about the accessibility of guns. I know how people can get them. And what I'm telling you is that if it is easier for people, which it is currently right now in certain neighborhoods, to get a gun than to get a job and opportunity. And what I mean by that is a trade, mentorship program to get direct resource to opportunities that will keep them full, to keep them. And you can't just put them in a place and go watch movies. It's nice to go on field trips, right? It's nice to see a movie. I'm talking about something that keeps them productive and engaged in something where they see potential. The fact that we have young people, right, underage teenagers that are like in a mindset where they feel like they need to get a gun, that they feel like they need to be around people with guns in that kind of way, is a failure of the city, right? The city failed these kids. We talk about the parents, but we don't talk about the environment to which, where are those parents? Those parents are probably working. Some of the parents might be in the household because you done locked everybody up, you done mass incarcerate their parents, right? Maybe it's grandma who is literally being worked down and don't have the ability to really micromanage that child that was probably thrown on her lap, right? It's just such an unrealistic mindset that some of these people have. And I'm so sick of these older people, because I have to keep it 100, people that are Gen Xers and boomers that are in these communities that consistently say, it wasn't like this back in the day, these kids are different. No, actually the problem is that there is a prevalence of guns being put out in these communities at a higher, faster rate than they've ever been. So I would argue that if they did put out a bunch of guns back in the 70s and the 60s, and there was a bunch of guns, it's just like so out in the communities, we would have probably had this conversation too. The difference is that we're seeing that. Plus, there's an era, right? We forget about the crime bill. So past 1994, we forget how that mass incarceration from the crime bill had impacted black families and communities in a very, very different way. We forget about the crack epidemic. So I'm talking about the 70s and the 60s. And also the lack of support in these communities that are still looking like they did back then. So like there's a lot of context of why back in the day it makes sense to you all compared to what's happening now. And if you think an ass whooping or a spanking and corporal punishment is going to solve this problem, it is fucking not. So again, I go back to the drawing board to stop answering these stupid questions, to tell people, and this is the answer, and it's going to always be the answer, until it is easier for the youth to get a job or opportunity than to get a gun, we will continue to have this problem. Period. I've never seen an environment or a neighborhood that provided jobs and opportunities, okay, to people, and they chose guns in spite of that. Never heard of it. Find me that neighborhood where there is jobs and opportunities for youth, and in spite of that, they all chose guns instead. Find it. It does not exist in America. I promise you that. It does not exist. And so all of this other shit, the locking people up, what, you gonna lock everybody up? You just gonna lock everybody up? You think that's just gonna solve the issue? Locking everybody up? You just think that people just wake up one day and choose to get a gun? Like, there is a lot of trauma. There's a lot of circumstances that create helplessness in people. And because you don't know what that feels like and look like, some of these people do, because they try to do their whole, I will never know what it feels like because I was blessed not to have that experience. But I have had conversations with people who've had those experiences. I have spoken to people who've been incarcerated. I have spoken to people that have had those experiences in their life. And what has been the common thread is that they did not have a sense of opportunity and hope. And if you don't give a community or anyone in their neighborhood that, parents can't provide that. Parents can't buy themselves unless they come from money. But again, parents by themselves cannot provide that. They can't. They can't. They can't. It takes a village, but it also takes a village that is getting resources by our government that their taxpayers' dollars fund. We keep acting like it's a problem when we say something about the government this, the government that, the government this, the government that. I'm sorry, but where the fuck are my taxpayers' dollars going? Because let me tell you, if you want to create a situation where people can self-govern their neighborhoods, then don't ask for taxes then. All that money. I would rather, I mean, if we want to create those communities, right, community governance, right, then I wonder if you stop taxing us, like stop taxing us and let us have our own money. And then with the money that you're taxing, if I use that money to put money to beautify my neighborhoods and we had our own money to a la carte it, what would that look like, right? If you want to be dead ass about it, since there's nothing you could do. Because I hate the fact that my taxpayers' dollars is disproportionately largely going to support an institution that's killing people that look like me and stopping and trying to stop and frisk people like me when I'm the reason why they have their salaries. Do you understand the disrespect of that? We don't ever talk about that. As a fucking taxpayer, like how the fuck I feel to get stopped and frisked. My money goes to you to fucking stop and frisk me. You're talking about public safety, but you targeted me. And I'm the reason why you have your fucking job. See, when you break it down like that, the shit pisses you the fuck off. It pisses me off anyway, but like even more so. Like, I'm being treated as a second-class citizen when I'm a taxpaying citizen, when I'm a citizen that's participating in the economy. It's just, yeah. It's disgusting. But other things that are disgusting. White progressives right now, y'all, okay? Let me just explain this. White progressives, what are y'all doing? What's going on? Because I've been waiting to have this conversation for this entire week. And it's some stuff that happened this week that is telling me some things, and I'm not liking what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking about what could come. So let me break this down. A situation that did not have to happen happened. So, there is a restaurant or cafe around 17th and Sansom in Center City. Location on that really don't matter, but we'll just put it as that was in Center City. That matters. So, State Representative Almond Brown, who is currently my state rep, that's in the 190th district, but it's about to be redistricted and things are about to shift and change. Rick Kajewski is going to be my new state rep, and the districts are going to change. But as of right now, as long as we're till December 31st, Almond Brown is my state rep. So this state rep was with his two children, and he went to this cafe with his kids on a Friday afternoon to get them some treats. When he walked in, he saw Council Member Helen Gim. Helen Gim was there eating with some other people. He saw her. And this is according to him, because I did speak to him. I interviewed him about it. And she saw him, and according to him, she kind of, positioned her body in a way not to really look towards him, and he kind of didn't want to see her. So he sees Dr. Oz. Well, let me back up a little bit. His kids, this cafe was spread, this restaurant was spread out, and there was some commotion clearly happening in the building. The noise, the commotion comes, he's with his kids, and in enters from that commotion, that crowd of people that's there, Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz greets his small children. He has two small black children that are like 10, 7, or 12, something like that, but they're very, very young. And Dr. Oz is talking to his children. He's surprised. He talks, Dr. Oz greets him. Dr. Oz does not know who he is. Let's just be clear, because he really doesn't know anything about Philadelphia, because he ain't from here, from Jersey. He lives in Jersey, really. He's just a carpetbagger over here in Pennsylvania. But anyway, he's there. Amon introduces himself. There's a nearby table. He's like, "Oh, you're a state rep." He, sits down. They exchange a couple of words. And of course, Amon eventually takes his kid. They leave. The conversation is brief. He basically is telling him he's a state rep in the area. Dr. Oz asks some questions about Philadelphia or about the crime in the area. He just generally have simple conversation, and then he gets his kids. He leaves. Well, that was not the story that Councilmember Helen Gim wanted you all to know. What Gim did is Gim allegedly took that picture because Gim was there. And Gim circulated this picture around because people have told me on the record, because that's what I fucking do, that she sent this picture out to them. She sent it out to multiple people in progressive spaces and throughout Philadelphia, because that's what messy people do. And of course, the picture got on social media, on Twitter, and the interesting thing was the picture showed from the back. It doesn't show his kids near him. It just is censored in a way that just shows him from the back and Dr. Oz sitting and talking to him. And it's framed in this way where it looks like, it's giving very much Dr. Oz and Amin are joining forces or some endorsement type shit. It was very sensationalized, right? But that's the chaos that she clearly wanted to create. So this picture circulates. It comes to me. Next thing you know, Amin's getting a call from Politico. Politico asks him, hey, we got this tip. Are you endorsing Dr. Oz? Are y'all, what's going on? And he's like, no, I bumped into the man. We just had a civil discourse or whatever. That was it. It was pretty much that. That's how he framed it. Now, Politico shares the details about this interview, or about this interaction, but they don't disclose their source. They don't say anything. So I called Amin. I said, Amin, what's going on? This picture, what's happening? Because it's my state rep. I'm going to ask, like, bro, you out here with Dr. Because I saw it. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, look, I didn't know. But see, me, what I've learned in this industry is that you trust but verify. So I said, what's going on here? And this man says to me, look, man, I just went to this cafe. I just was getting my stuff for my kids. It was a Friday evening. That was my kids. Like, why the fuck? This picture, and he said to me that Helen Kim took the picture. He said he believed she took the picture, which made sense because sources got back to me that she was the one distributing the picture, and let me also add that Helen did not give the impression to these people that she was there at the cafe. She just was circulating it. That's messy as fuck, and y'all know what's going on here. But we're gonna keep going because this conversation should have been had a long time ago, but the conversation is being had now. So this picture circulates. I'm talking to him. I'm saying, what the fuck is going on? Like, dude, because let's be clear. Amin Brown does not have the most favorable track record amongst some of his colleagues, okay? He's not a progressive. He's more of a moderate. He supports mandatory minimums, but he supports the LGBTQIA community. He supports women's rights, reproductive rights. He's not a Joe Manchin by any means. But he's also someone who kind of has a different thought about the criminal justice system in ways that are not very favorable. He tried to push a bill or proposal that got killed in the state house by his Democratic colleagues around putting mandatory minimums around those with guns, which a lot of people do not like mandatory minimums, but he's very specific about it around gun violence. Again, a law and order approach that is not very savory and popular. He's young. He's like 34. He's from West Philadelphia, born and raised in his district. And because of that, Bill, a lot of social justice advocacy organizations, white progressives, everyone else and their mother, has tried to run people against him. They have come at him left and right, but he remains undefeated in West Philadelphia. And I have an idea why I think that's the case, but I'll get to that in a minute. But he's unstoppable. He's won his new district. He's got the support. Black people in West Philadelphia like him. Him and Jamie Gautier don't have the best relationship, but I think a lot of people don't have a really good relationship with her right now. Including some of the people that used to work with her, like Philly 3.0. Interesting. We'll see what happens in the primary. Sidebar. But a lot of people are, there's a lot of tension in politics in West Philadelphia. There's also critiques about him getting money from Jeffrey Yazd, which is that conservative, but it's pushing for charter schools. He's got a lot of relationships and connections. People view him as not being a friend of Krasner. He has been critical about Krasner. It's a lot of those things that just makes him not. So he's coming in as public enemy number one to some progressives. So I'm the kind of person that when a person is wrong, they're wrong. But when a person is innocent, they're innocent. And I don't do cheap. I don't do cheap shots. I don't, come for a person misinformed. So as much as Amin Brown's policies, some of his policies are, debatable and concerning, and clearly they have not come into law, right? That's a fair debate, right? That's fair. But I think what's dangerous and problematic is when you try to create a false narrative around somebody, especially a black politician, especially a young black man in politics, that is in your party, to try to spike or start trouble. And trouble that has more dire consequences than what was depicted there. So that's my issue with Helen Kim and breaking this down even further because so much shit popped off. So I was the one who called out on social media that Helen Kim was the one who took that photo, that was the source behind this drama. And that because Helen shared the Politico memo that went out, and put clown faces around Amin, but never disclosed that she was with Amin. Like, she never disclosed it at that time. She kind of tiptoed around it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to call this out because this is not what happened here. And it's weird because my mindset is I had to put this out because there was a double standard being proposed. So what I did was I said, hey, she's not telling the truth. I had to inform readers and listeners on Twitter when it was happening. She not respond to me. Helen Gim just kind of knows not to say anything to me because she's a hypocrite. I mean, this woman is a hypocrite. This woman talks all this shit about the establishment and all this, but she's got Local 98 money, and no one wants to talk to her about her relationship with Bobby Heenan, right? Or that the fact that her husband, she talks about, safe injection sites and these things, but your husband's working for pharmaceutical companies that are connected to that. To me, that's a conflict of interest. Or you should be more transparent about what's going on over there in that department. Such a hypocrite. She, founded a charter school. Doesn't really talk about the situation with the charter school, nor explain the public education angle enough to people, right? Hypocrite. She has been someone that continues to cherry pick where she is in a progressive pendulum. But to me, when she got really good with Johnny Doc and she played the innocent until proven guilty situation with him, when with everybody else, including other black elected officials that were caught up in scandals, like, I don't know, Sheriff Joe Williams, it was no innocent until proven guilty, even though he wasn't indicted and convicted. Now, I agree, he was a problem. I agree that a lot of those people, like Joe Williams, should not have been in a position of power. But I keep that same energy. If I'm going to call out Joe Williams, I'm definitely going to call out Bobby Heenan and Johnny Doc. I just think that it's interesting that a lot of her aggression and critique is often towards black politicians and black people. She's very, I think that some of her, the way that she conducts herself, she panders to white progressives as a non-white elected official, because she's not black, she's Asian. She panders to white progressives in a way that she plays into the tropes of colorism, because black progressives, right, like the Isaiah Thomases, cannot do what she do. And she knows that. And any black man that critiques her, she will use people and frame them as sexist. She will feed them talking points. I'm going to tell everybody on this podcast that Helen Gim, I know, has talked shit, clearly, and she's also amped up other black elected officials to do her dirty mess when it comes to interactions and critiques I've had for her. I know that for a fact. I'll put those cards on the table if I was told I was a liar. I'm not going to name names, but I want to be very clear that I know what she's doing, and people know what she's doing, and we all know. And what you're not going to do, Helen Gim, is you're not going to pit black men against each other. You're not going to pit other black people against each other. Like, if I have my issues and my disagreements with Jamie Gautier about different things, that's my disagreements. You don't need to be overstepping and doing it, because that's hella anti-black and that's hella problematic, and a lot of people see you do this stuff and they don't ever say anything. They let it go because they're scared, right? They're scared because you have a lot of white progressives and those bike lanes people and all those folks that like to troll people and harass people and try to do it. And they've tried to do it to me. They've tried to call me Uncle Tom, a step and fetch it, all these different things because of the fact that I don't necessarily cheerlead for their fucking agenda how they want it to. So what they do is like to pit other black people like the Rick Kajewskis, okay, against black people like me. Me and Rick Kajewski went to the same college. I know who he is. He's a Penn alum like I am, okay? Rick Kajewski has his own problems, right? But what we're not going to do is you're not going to do a measuring contest between myself and them. We're not going to do that. I'm a member of the Free Press. I'm going to cover everybody. I'm going to be fair in my critique. And I'm going to also acknowledge when people are not right. And I'm not a fan club. And I don't do PR. And I don't appreciate some of the things that has been coming from her circle and from her. And if you think you're going to win mayor that way, haha, guess again. I don't even know if she's running for mayor. I don't think she should run for mayor. I don't think she should run for mayor. I think that she's very polarizing in a way that is not going to unite and galvanize Philadelphia across the board. She does not have, whatever her agenda is, I don't know what the agenda is. I don't know what her agenda is. But I just feel like she is someone who's a very opportunistic politician. She's effective because she knows how to pander very well. But at the same time, she has been vindictive and very conniving. And that's why a lot of people in city council do not like her outside of Kendra Brooks and Gautier. Those are the only people on council that really like her. Everybody else kind of puts up with her. And it's not because they're not progressive, but because she has done certain things that have just been really fucked up. I mean, we're not even going to talk about what was happening when there was ballot cutting around and all that. And also the fact that, let's be real, like Gautier and Gim might as well be with the Working Families Party. Like, they might as well join the Working Families Party. Like, I don't even know why they're identified as Democrats. The two of them should go ahead and run for at-large seats. Because at the end of the day, if they're going to create that separation, go all the way. I have a lot of respect for Kendra Brooks. I have had disagreements in the past before she got elected about what the Working Families Party was with her and Nicholas O'Rourke. And people have brought that up. Yeah, I said I didn't think they deserved to win at the time because I felt like they were leaning towards the Democratic Party. However, what I can say, because that's what mature men do, is that when she did get in office, she definitely stood 10 toes down in her positions. She definitely is a Working Families Party member. She definitely has her own identity that is outside of the Democratic Party. She does recognize that she does need some of that support for her reelection, clearly, but she's also very clear on who she is within it. And so when she talks and she critiques these established institutions, I can respect that. I can respect her for it because she's not a Democrat. The problem I have with the Helen Gims of this is that they want to double dip. They want to get even Nikhil Saval. Like, I don't know him. I don't have a beef with him. But it's very telling that he got that Johnny Doc money. And that was really because Johnny Doc hated Larry Farnese. And so he made sure he put it to his opponent. My thing with Saval was like, you're so progressive, but you're getting that money from a guy like that. Like, I just don't understand it. But then y'all want to talk about Jeffrey Yass. Right? Like, Jeffrey Yass is a problem. All the way a problem. Right? But it's funny to me because for black people in Philadelphia, that is not connected to labor. Let's be very clear. We don't see Johnny Doc as being the man who gave a fuck about black people. These construction contracts, baby, okay, that were not going out to black people. The fact that he was mad at council, right, when all those quote-unquote black moderates were pushing on him to diversify those building trade contracts and to step up and do what needs to be done, okay, I didn't really see Helen Gim personally leading the charge on that conversation. Just saying, right? Neither was Bobby Heenan, clearly. But in the sense of proving guilty, right? Right. So there's a lot of history around why black people are not necessarily crazy or that in tune with Johnny Depp. Because also Johnny Doc. Because there's also been rumors about Johnny Doc potentially using racial slurs. It's a lot of things that has been said about Johnny Doc that has perceived him, the buildings trade, as being highly racist. And that is just the history. And so to get money from this man as this progressive who could get money from anyone else and to continue to be out here defending and being loyal to the leadership in that way tells me where your fault line lies on how progressive you want to act like you are. Okay? Because while you want to draw lines for everybody else and tell other people what they should be doing, let's not play games. Let's not play. So here's the more in-depth. So the article comes out, the Inquirer, after I did my tweet, the Inquirer did a story that came out shortly after where Helen Gim is referenced and everything else. And so in that situation, it breaks down what happened. Now, Helen claims, well, spokesperson for Helen Gim, because I don't know which spokesperson is. They ain't named the person because she keeps losing communication directors like left and right for different reasons, I suppose. But her spokesperson made the claim that the conversation lasted for about an hour or something, or like a long time. How would you know that? How would you know that? You won't admit that you took the picture, but you're claiming the conversation lasted that long. Were you spying? Were you like how would you know? Now, Amin says that's not true. Given how deceptive Helen Gim has been in this situation, I don't believe her. If it's true, my whole thing is, since you're so gutsy and you like stunts and you like to go to protests and get arrested and all that, like kind of like what AOC was doing this weekend. If you're really that person, to me, which again, I think this situation is just stupid. It's unnecessary. Let's just say this. Voters don't fucking care. It's not changing the outcome. Amin Brown is not endorsing Dr. Oz. Amin supports Fetterman. He's backing Fetterman for the position. He is a Democrat through and through, for better and for worse. He's not endorsing Dr. Oz. The perception that he was, all of that was just all driven by Gim egging on mess within her own party. And then she wonders why they don't like her. Like, because look how you cherry pick how you come at people. I don't see you doing that with other people. Other people have been stopped in these streets. Johnny Doc has stopped and hugged folks that are not super fans. It happens. But let me educate white progressives on something. As a black man, as a black queer man, I have been put in positions and environments where I have seen people I don't like, or seen people that I may not politically agree with in professional settings as a professional. And in certain cases, when things like that happen, we as black people in those positions understand that we have to remain a level of civility and discourse because we can't act like everyone else, right? Because let's just say, what did you want Almond Brown to do? Did you want him to curse him out? Did you want him to be loud? Did you want him to act crazy and create a scene in front of his young, small children? Did you want him to, confront this man in a way that could have got a Starbucks situation happening? I mean, what did you want him to do? Right? White people. I'm sorry, because he can't do what you like to do. You all like to wear costumes and be funny and flippant and do those things and yell because you have white privilege. Black man can't do that. He's also elected official. So you think he wanted to show his ass and cut up in front of this man so this man could use his bait to try to drive up donors and things? Like, that's just not what any of this was. It wasn't. He was respectful. It moved on. Dr. Oz didn't sensationalize it. He didn't promote it. He didn't take a selfie. He didn't do any. I mean, it was none of that kind of stuff. It was not scandal. It was not endorsement. It was not any of the things that Helen implied. And that's a problem, people. That's a problem. We know non-black people in spaces. The Karens of it all, the people that like to surveil us, the people that like to spy. But I think there was an important message made that to black elected officials in this town, that Helen Gim, if she sees something she doesn't agree with, she will take pictures, she will tip off the press, and she will be a rat and a mole in a way that's cowardly. It was cowardice to me. If you felt that way, what you should have did was you should have went up there and confronted the situation on site. Like, if I saw something like that, like if I saw Almond Brown talking to Dr. Oz, and I saw that, I would have went over there and said, hey, what's going on here? Colleague. Like, I would have had fun. Or I would have just fucking minded my business. Or I would have just been a grown-up and hit up Almond personally and called him or texted him, DM or something, say, hey, Almond, hey, I saw you with Dr. Oz. What was that about, bro? Like, something. But see, intention. That's not what she wanted to do. That's not what stunt queens in politics do. Stunt queens in politics like to serve a perfect scenario to try to go viral, to try to get attention, because clearly they're not doing anything in their office that could give them attention enough. So they like to get into mess. They have to start shit online because they don't have other things to do. And it's a summer and out of session, and people want to sit up and start shit because, they can't announce they're for mayor yet, because everybody's waiting for who's going to step their foot out and announce, hopefully before Labor Day, people. But this is the kind of passive-aggressive shit that I'm talking about. It's just like, you didn't have to do that. That was so unnecessary. Like, why did you choose violence? What you really could have did, because apparently she saw Dr. Oz too, and she told Dr. Oz to go back to Jersey. To me, what could have been the moment would have been bumped into Dr. Oz at a cafe in Philly and told him to go back to Jersey. Everybody would have laughed. It would have been a moment, right? Without being messy and dragging other people in shit. Like, it's just so fucking passive aggressive. And I think there's some bitterness because I feel like she supported Cass Green, who was backed by the Working Families Party, this Democrat that went against Almond. She went through West Philadelphia being very disrespectful and trying to drag him. The way that I've talked to ward leaders who've told me that they did not like the way Helen Gim and even Cass was tearing down and disrespecting this black man in a certain kind of manner, and the undertones and the way that they were talking about black voters in these neighborhoods, low information, low education, all this voters, and some of the rhetoric was used was highly anti-black and highly problematic, and there were ward leaders, some of them or committee people, even white ones, that were saying like that was what turned them off, and that's why endorsements weren't getting made in certain areas, and that's why some people just were staying out of it. But like, people are seeing what's happening, and what is happening is that this is a person that's being propped up by white progressives, right? She's pandering to that audience because that audience gives money, that audience have privilege, that audience has some access to resources. They're gentrifiers, they're people who have corporate money but want to act like they feel good. And because she's not black, she benefits from that fact. She benefits from that privilege in a way that allows her to be able to still be of color but not that color, right? Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it the fuck 100 right now, this podcast. Like, there is a lot of anti-blackness in the fact that there are a lot of people, right, in politics and progressives that will love to vote for someone of color, but not that color. And that color is black. I've seen Isaiah Thomas have to run 3 times for at-large. He's had to change his look, his appeal, and everything because he's a dark-skinned black man winning an at-large seat, right? That's trying to run on a progressive agenda, not trying to sell out to certain groups and certain establishments. And he gets held because sometimes he has to sometimes align himself with the likes of a Senator Anthony Hardy Williams. And people will criticize him, but where's the money for him? Where's the money for these black progressives in the same way that you all support Elizabeth Fiedler? Where is that support for people like that, right? Do they have to have a different name change, be lighter skinned or whatever? Where is it for young black progressives? Andre Carroll was a black, gay, progressive candidate, young black man from Germantown area that was running to make a difference and could not win. Could have won that race, but y'all decided to put your money behind, unicorns and people that just had no chance, or played into the interest of your very favorite non-black elected officials. Because whoever they would have put their money and support behind, that's what y'all put your money to. Those people lost, and they lost. So it's a struggle because being a black progressive, I consider myself a black progressive through and through. There's nuance, there's complexity, and what I'm upset about is that the movement is being co-opted by white people that need to sit the fuck down and stop overstepping. The problem is that you cannot be the problem and a part of the solution at the same time. You can be a part of the solution by taking a step back and supporting and amplifying those people that have been marginalized. The problem is that white progressives, like white people in general, are always in a position where they want to always be the leader of something. They always want to be the face of something. They always want to find a way to still reign supreme. So we have white supremacy within the progressive space because it's white people that will cherry pick who they think matters, and they will find and abuse the same standards and litmus tests that black people fought hard for their issues, and tell them they're not black enough or progressive to do something. And these are the type of people that come to me and think that because they donated some group or went to some protest that they're more woke than I am, even though I'm the person that helped spear that kind of rhetoric. Like, it's just hilarious to me that there's a lot of erasure of black queer people, and when we push back against non-black progressives, then they get defensive and they get sensitive, and then they call their favorite black friends and try to run them against me. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm just calling it out. And some of y'all saw this on Twitter because I gotta keep 100. There was a black woman who was a staffer at Helen Gim's office who's no longer there, thank God, that used to always, anytime I see somebody Helen Gim, she would jump out there for her. And I was like, why are you caping for her? She's an elected official. She can cape for herself. And she would try to say it was her, but I knew it wasn't. Because Helen has, and I have receipts, a record of understanding that she can't be. So she will weaponize other black people to jump in her fights. And there's a list of people. I know who they are. I see how they respond to tweets. I see what they do. It's a script. I know what you all are doing. Everyone's on game with what you're doing, and it needs to fucking stop. Period. Because it's going to get to a point where people are going to start really calling out. And if she's running for mayor, baby, the receipts are coming. That's all I'm going to say on that aspect of this conversation. But the receipts are coming. Because here's the thing. You have to just stop. You just be accountable as an elected official. That sometimes the people you think you represent don't feel like you're representing. And if you feel like you have to always divorce yourself of accountability, that you have this self-righteousness, that nothing you're doing is wrong, that nothing you're doing is above approach and critique, what the fuck? I'm not an elected official. I'm a journalist. I have free speech. I can critique. I can compare. I can talk. And I can do that in a way that I'm not a PR person for progressives. I'm not. Am I a progressive person? Yes. But I'm just as critical about them as I am about conservatives. I see problems across the board. As a black person in America, I will never be aligned solely and unflinchingly aligned with any political party in any sector of any movement that is not led by people that look like me. Period. I'm just not. I'm not ever going to be a talking mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. I see their problems. I'm not going to vote for a Republican in 2022. Absolutely fucking not. But I'm not going to be quiet and ignore the fuck shit that happens within the Democratic Party and within these progressive and liberal spaces. Period. And if you do not like that, white people, don't like yourselves, because you have been doing this shit since the beginning of fucking time. My awakening for my people did not happen in 2016. It was in 1619. And some of you all need to get a fucking grip. Because the books, the shit, listen, some of the same white people that I went to college with at Penn and known about in my circles are now people that are reading these books and watching these documentaries that didn't give any black person like me the time or day. Now they're sitting around here acting like they're an expert and leading nonprofits and groups about issues like this and having conversations about white privilege. It makes me laugh. I'm not saying people can't evolve and change, but you better fucking acknowledge your evolution and recognize who you try to perform to and who you don't perform to. Because black people been know this. Black people been knowing this. And we all go through different stuff. And what you're not going to do is pick your favorite black person and compare and contrast. Because to be honest, black people in this Democratic movement, I have a lot more grace for Almond Brown, for a Senator Williams. Daryl Clark gets on my nerves with these stop and frisk. But I have a lot more grace for these black politicians who are in these different mixes of issues. Now, will I vote for them? Some of them? No. Right? I can't see myself voting for Cheryl Parker if she runs for mayor. But I have a lot more grace for them compared to elected officials that are white or non-black that oftentimes come into this work and they want to take over this work. There's nuance. There's a lot of things that I know. Like there are people who've told me there are a lot of black progressive candidates that went into massive debt running for office. And these parties, these groups, these coalitions do not help them financially. Do not support them like they should. They tell them to run because it looks cute on a flyer. But when it gets down to, boots on the ground, they're not there. They're not there in the same ways they are for white candidates that want to sit up and act like they're, democratic socialists and shit. They're just not doing it. And I see a lot of it. I've seen it for years. And so until I see the same energy that you all have for Helen Gim, that you all have for, that you all should have for black candidates that shouldn't have to leave the Democratic Party, right? Because you're not doing it for Kathy Gilmore Richardson. You're not doing it for Isaiah Thomas. You're not doing it enough. Okay, the endorsements are cute, but where's the money? Where's the money for Andre Carroll? Where is the money for those folks, right? It's not there. Cass Green lost because she didn't have that money. Now, that race was complicated, and I wasn't fortunately voting in that race. I'm happy I didn't have to get involved in that. But, come on. Come on. That's just where I'm at with it right now. It's just come on. And it's funny to me with Helen is that, Helen, you was at that same restaurant with Ahmed. If you was there by coincidence, how come he couldn't? And that's why I feel like it's bullshit, right? And first of all, why would somebody on a Friday evening bring their 2 kids to go see Dr. Oz and have a conversation in a public space? Like, that didn't make sense. Like, this whole conspiracy theory of a big old meeting, that don't make sense. It just don't make sense. It was bullshit. And it backfired on her. And that's why she sent, Gautier felt like she had to go cape for Helen and try to, throw in other people and mix it up and stuff. That's why that happened, because that was all curated. But no, you're not calling my friends and asking my friends to jump in the fight. They know better, because we talk. Black men talk. Even when black men don't 100% agree with each other, we all got each other's numbers. We all text each other. We all hit each other. We all in similar circles. We got friends, mutual friends. Listen, we all talk. We can disagree. But, we go always circle back, especially when it's somebody like a Helen Gim trying to get up in the mix. Girl, they're not your friend. They're not your friend. They're cool. They're cordial with you. See, that's how we do. We got to be cordial sometimes, right? But don't think for 5 seconds they're your homie and they're going to let you weaponize them, okay? Somebody better tell her. Somebody got to tell her, this ain't it. This ain't it. Like either you going to be the one to say something or you're not. Period. So, yeah, long story short, white progressives in Philadelphia, across the country, stop overstepping. to those non-black progressives, stop, just stop. The movement, because let me tell you what's going to happen if this doesn't stop. I envision in Philadelphia that there is an Eric Adams type of candidate on the ballot. Somebody that's charismatic, somebody that has, great appeal, that is likable to constituents, to people, that has the identity politics working in their favor. And if the progressives don't get their shit together, and if they are so polarizing and so annoying, then a bunch of black people who are middle of the road, who don't identify as a progressive or a model or anything else, they will easily be wooed by the other candidate. That candidate is going to be Cheryl Parker. I think she's an Eric Adams type of candidate where she should not be in office in this mayor position. Like Eric Adams should not be mayor. But I understand how people like that get elected. And that's because I actually talk to black people who are not just obsessed with, bike lanes and shit that other folks are not concerned about, or they're not caught up in, all of the fancy, titles, and they're not like religiously dogmatic to one particular part, progressive over another, and they don't play those games, right? Because they walk in different nuances. So they, like, look, I know you don't like Senator Anthony Hardy Williams because you don't have to deal with him, but at the end of the day, there are people that can say, you know what, I see something about him that makes me feel safe in my community. I feel like, hey, his politics or whatever, but I can, he's not as, Paul Prescott just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know much about him. I don't feel comfortable voting for him. I'm not talking for myself. I'm just saying that's what I've heard other voters say, right? If you're not engaging those black voters who are open, right, they can elect a Jamie Gauthier, right? They can elect people like that, right? They could elect the Rick Kajewski, right? They could do that. But you have to also create a situation where these people feel relatable and attainable. And when they start becoming out of reach and they seem to be not connected, then that's how you start to gain reluctance and resentment. And that's how problems persist. And that's how we have some of the problems that we're going to see. So with this mayoral race, the problem with Helen Gim is that I feel like she's going to be so polarizing. If another progressive or other people get in that race, and there's a lot of infighting and a lot of messiness, because Reclaim is like clearly having a meltdown right now. The Working Families Party has an identity crisis right now. And if it doesn't seem like there's some real strong, connection, and white progressives don't dominate the conversation and over talk black people, then what's going to happen is black folks are going to say, well, who else is here? A black woman who's from Philly that definitely has the bona fides and the charisma. Mind you, she may not have the plan. Her plan might be problematic, which I believe could be the case. But they might not even look at all that and just see her as this uniter. And I'm looking at some of the rumored unions out here that's going to be back here, like the SEIU, who was a big component of supporting Working Families Party this go around and supporting the likes of Malcolm Kenyatta's. But I'm hearing rumors that they might be looking at Cheryl Parker. So like if groups like that are moving to Cheryl Parker, even though Cheryl Parker is clearly not progressive at all, and progressives like Helen Gim just seems to be picking with people like an Almond Brown, like a person like myself, and other people who are black that are just challenging some of her work, then Gauthier clearly can't control West Philadelphia. She can't push candidates to the top of Almond Brown. Those types of people are going to go for Cheryl Parker. And then you might get some white folks, right, that might have some white guilt and might say, you know what, I might vote for Cheryl. Or I might just throw it up because, you know what, I don't really like the way that the progressives have been, or they might be going too far, or they might be out of touch. And so there might be something there where there might be, if it's a crowded race, it's going to help with Cheryl. That could happen if, again, people don't get their shit together. And so people act like I don't know about elections. I think I've been doing a pretty good job speaking about them for a couple of years and calling some predictions and saying some things. And people don't listen to me. They never want to listen to the black queer guy who's been doing this shit for several years in these communities that they're not engaging with, that's not getting real honest truths. I'm telling you that I'm seeing what's happening in these streets. I'm seeing what's happening out here in these neighborhoods. And I'm telling you that there's a strong possibility that if progressives do not get their shit together, Cheryl Parker will be a stronger candidate because she will have the ability to get all these people. And mind you, she should not win. I don't want her to win. And I don't think her policies are going to be good for the black community. But the sad part is the community may not even care because they're going to be so annoyed and tired of a Helen Gim type of person that might appear to be the front runner of the people because of her performance during the city council races a couple years ago, that they might say, fuck it, I'm not going that way, I have to go the other way. And that's going to be the unfortunate reality. But there are other people. We don't know how the race is going to shape up. We don't know who's going to run for what. So things can change. Personally, Helen Gim should just go run for Congress. Go be another member of the squad. Let's just do that. Because running the city of Philadelphia, I just don't see it, personally. But it's going to be interesting. There will be blood, I feel like, politically, metaphorically speaking. Because the way that people are acting right now. I just don't see no other way. So in other news, but Byron Allen, who owns the Griot, the black billionaire, he has bought the Black News Channel for $11 million. And I must say that that's pretty good. I mean, first of all, $11 million, but I guess, they had to shut down recently and there was massive layoffs. There's still people who are claiming they haven't been paid. But Byron Allen's taking it up. I mean, Byron Allen is getting everything. I'm for a black man, and I have benefited from Byron Allen. I write for the Griot. I'm a contributor to them, and I get checks. And he pays well for a black media company. He pays well. He takes care. They pay the bills on time. Okay, so Byron is a fave. I haven't met him, and that's somebody on my list that I want to meet. Like I've always said, I want to meet Oprah and I want to meet Byron Allen. I just need to meet Byron Allen. I thought it would be easy to meet Byron before Oprah, but I got to get Byron soon. I got to find a place. We just have to see each other. I just want to go up to this man personally and thank him for suing Comcast, taking it to the Supreme Court. That's what's up. Okay, Center City, this 76ers building situation. So here's what I know. Here's what's being said. In the next 9 years, there's a plan by 2030 that the 76ers will move their stadium to Center City in the Fashion District area. Yes, we're talking a Madison Square Garden situation. Right now, it's not in our city, but it can be. They want to take a piece off of the Fashion District and put that there, build it up, and it should be ready. And I guess the process will begin in the next 10 years. But a lot of people are excited. They say it could be economic impact out the wazoo. Chinatown people are not excited. The Chinatown business owners are calling it gentrification. They feel like it's going to kill the culture. And I agree. The contract will be massive, of course. Millions upon millions upon millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. And the conversation is already happening right now about, okay, well, who the fuck is going to... Are we going to have minority-owned businesses and contract jobs and yada, 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 yada. But then conversations about the vendors, what's going to be there, who's going to be doing vending. All of that's going to be a part of it. But honestly, I do think it's important to have a stadium in the city, but I just don't know if that's the right area. I just feel like it's going to be all the chaos. It's going to be traffic. It's going to be all of this, just extra. And I don't know. I'm mixed about it. Right now, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of it being there. I can understand a need for a stadium in the city. But I just don't feel like it should be there. I just think it's tacky. I think it's just going to be just so much chaos. And they're going to connect it with SEPTA, the public transit location. But I just think it's just going to be chaos. I just think it's just going to be a mess. And I just can't imagine it because I'm still caught up in the fact that we have crazy, ridiculous poverty. We have so much other things going on. And it's just not it. At least to me, I just don't think it's the best time. I just don't think it's the best use. I mean, there's just these builders and these investors can keep coming up with ways to make more money for themselves, but we can't get anything for these kids. That's why I'm just very critical about it. And, like I said earlier, that the city has its first time economic director, or for nightlife, nighttime economy director, which is Raheem Manning, who was with the Arts Council, but he's now in his new role. And he's, people are giving him feedback. Well, here's my feedback. My feedback is we need more opportunities for late night convenience stores and access to water and shit. I shouldn't have to go with the grace of common sense or the luck to find an end piece of open late to get something. So that's what I want. All the other clubs and stuff, I guess more nightclubs, sure, whatever. I don't know. But that needs to be figured out, okay? I just want to get a bottle of water somewhere, period. So, that's that. Update on Ricky Martin. So Ricky Martin's cousin has dropped the charges, y'all. Looks like, listen, I didn't want to say it at the time, but I just wanted to look at how it's going. Look like there's no court case, criminal charges. The cousin dropped everything. Seems like something going on over there. But I was like, when I read, I was like, not Ricky. You know, like I said, y'all, not Ricky, but he dropped the charges. And every people ask me all the time, like, okay, when something like that happens, does that mean, like when it happened to Chris Brown? Chris Brown, that woman who accused Chris Brown of rape, she dropped her charges, right? And she was exposed for lying. Like, does that set victims back and things? You know, honestly, I don't think so. Because here's the thing. People weren't believing victims anyway. If you're one of those people that is going to let one case happen and you're going to not believe victims because of one situation or a couple of situations, man, nah. I just think, for me, what I've learned in every process, that when somebody accuses someone, you know, and you're on the outside looking, and it's not any, like, deliberate, like, let's say there was, you know, a situation where it was an incident that was like that night or whatever the case is, I just hold space, and I also just let people, you know, let the process speak out for itself. You know, I might hold my own reservations, but it also depends on the magnitude of the situation. Like with the Ricky Martin situation, I didn't go out and say, Ricky, you're a pedophile, Ricky this, that. I wasn't going to do that because, again, like, I felt like it was some very massive claims. And I also felt like, hey, I don't know everything, but I'm not going to jump out and defend Ricky, but I'm not going to be, like, especially as a journalist, I have to be careful as a journalist, because that's how you avoid liable and lawsuits when it comes to stuff like that. That I can't, like, I've always felt the need to say, like, allegedly. It's important to say allegedly, okay? But people was like, don't say allegedly, he did it. Well, I'm sorry. As a journalist, are you going to pay my legal fees? I have to say allegedly. Not personally, how I feel personally, you know, it is what it is. I would tell you personally, when I heard the Ricky Martin story, in my opinion, personally, I just felt like there was just a lot of questions that needed some more answers. And that's how I felt about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. Some people may disagree with that. I do think that they're both hurting each other. I think that Amber Heard has some problems. I definitely think Johnny Depp has some problems. I think they both need therapy. I think that there was no one side on that situation between the two of them. I think they were very much in a toxic relationship. And, you know, a lot came out about both of them. And I don't think it was one side over the other. I definitely think there was some fuckery on both ends of that situation. And I think they both need help. That's my take on it. I'm not going to pick one side over the other. And in that case, because I think in that situation, clearly, both were obviously doing something was going on. And I think that's what the jury felt like too. Like the jury, I don't feel like thought they could just go one way in those decisions based on the evidence that came out. That's my personal opinion. That doesn't mean I don't believe victims. No, I believe victims. I do believe real victims. I believe honest victims. I believe victims that do make the case, that do, you know, express themselves, that do go through the procedures. But, you know, people do lie, and we can all, you know, when a person lies or a person changes something up, you know, we can all say, hey, right? But I try to have a lot more, I don't know if the word is grace, but just I keep a very fair, open mind about a situation, especially as the details come to me. With the Chris Brown situation, he's had a history of abuse. So to me, I was kind of like, Now, Trey Songz, I just feel like it's so many accusations, Trey Songz. Like, you know, and there was black women that I believe and trust in, like, you know, Keke Palmer, who said that he was doing some things. Like, that's just what it was. So I just feel like in that situation, the charges are dropped, no evidence or new evidence or anything has been found in discovery. So, you know, it just seems like that's what it is. It's not going to be up to me. I'm not going to be digging any more into it personally. But I think that that's where we have to be. Like, you know, some cases. But like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, y'all, like, they done went through the legal proceedings, evidence, everything. Like, okay, there you have it, y'all. And I'll tell you why some of that might be interesting in other ways, too, at another part of this show. So, Beyonce's album is finally coming. We're less than a week away from Renaissance, Act 1 Renaissance. We're less than a week away. I'm so excited, y'all. I mean, music this summer has been, like, up and down, but this looks like it's going to take me up. She has 16 tracks. I mean, we're back into music, some interesting titles. America Has a Problem is one of the songs I'm excited about. Heated, Bodied, something. It's just she's got a lot of songs. I don't know anything about them, so I really can't talk about them except for Break My Soul. That's all I can talk about. There's nothing I can analyze. I can't tell you anything about it. I know that she has the dream producing all the songs off this album. There's a lot of great producers and things. There's a lot of people trying to figure out who's on the album. There's rumors that Drake might be featured, this, that, and third. But what I'm trying to tell people is that Beyonce, it looks like there's no features on this album. But then there's credits with different names of artists. So people are thinking, are these people on the songs? Like, I think Tim's, might be on it. I don't know. But there was a lot of names. But what I have to tell people is that Beyonce is very known for giving a lot of credit to people who have influenced something in her album. She's all about giving credit and things like that to songs. So, for example, with Lemonade, Soulja Boy is credited. But Soulja Boy is not in the song on any of those songs. But she used a lyric from Hop Up Out the Bed, Turn My Swag On. And so she referenced that in the song Hold Up, when she's like, I hop up out the bed and turn my swag on and look in the mirror and say, what's up? What's up? That is not her. That is from Soulja Boy. She cited Soulja Boy in the song as a credit. And so I think that could be happening throughout these songs, that some of these people, these famous names, she might be referencing a verse or a sample of a song or a production or something. So I don't want to hold anything. Like with Beyonce, she's very, very unpredictable, but very predictable at the same time. So I tell people, let this woman do what she do. You will never know what Beyonce is going to do. Like, you can predict some of it. Like, everyone's like, where is the music video? Like I told you, I think the video is coming out on Friday. She's released a cappella versions of Break My Soul. Clearly, she's amplifying it because I think she wants it to be a number one hit. I think her dream is, in my mind, having the number one song in the country and the number one album at the same time. I think that's very possible with this album and this song. I think she can achieve that. I think that's what she wants. And also she wants Lizzo to have her moment. Because I think Lizzo is probably going to debut at number one on Billboard. I hope it's special because it was a decent album. And I think that will help her get her number one with About Damn Time. So that is what I think Beyonce wants for Lizzo, because they are Houstonians. Lizzo and Beyonce both went to Elite Music High School, not at the same time, but we all went there. That's what we have in common. So I think that there might be some support. She wants to support other black women. And wouldn't it be cool that this summer, 2 black women in music had number one albums and singles, back to back like that? That's kind of dope. So I think there's a history moment there. There's a history making moment there. And I think it'll be really special for the time that we're in music. So that's what my prediction is. Now, on to other things. Omarion has a documentary out right now called Omega. And it's on his website, omarionworldwide.com. He is having a 5-part documentary series. Each episode has been about 30 minutes. Only one episode has come out, and he's charging like $6.99 per episode to stream. Now, I predict that eventually these episodes will somehow link on some sites or some stuff. But as of right now, he is charging for the episodes. And so I did spend $6.99 to watch it for research purposes. And watch the episode, the first part. Because I guess he's breaking these down in pieces. So right now, the only episode that's out is episode 1. I watched it. It was a cute little intro, 30 minutes. Very juicy, though. Very meaty. Very, very meaty. A lot of great context. Lots of good footage, behind-the-scenes footage. It's very good. Now, Omarion directed it, so by all means. This is very much so a biased biography, quote-unquote. But it's his side of the story, and I would just say that he's not making himself look good with the first episode. So, I'll tell you the synopsis. Some of this is already out there. But, clearly, the process of getting the band together, according to him, was that he, was up and down if he wanted to do it or not. But the fans is what drove them to have it. The fans really, really wanted him to come out. For B2K to, come out and be a group and be out. I think that was the plan, that B2K, they just wanted them. Omarion's solo career had finally taken a little bit of a softer ending, and I think they both all could use the money. They have families. So they all came together, and they all had issues before they left. Raspy had his, what they called episodes, which, aka, this man with a little bit of trauma from sexual abuse in his youth that he accuses their, producer, their former manager, Chris Stokes, of doing. He's accused Marcus Houston from Immature, and Chris Stokes of molesting him at a very young age. That was what he's been accusing. And his story has been very consistent over the years. I kid you not. He's been saying the same thing in the same way for many years, and he's very much so have accused and said that other members of B2K have also have experienced sexual abuse by those individuals, and that they were. It's very graphic. He's very vocal about it. It's very telling, and he also records conversations where he shows that he's talking to people connected to them that acknowledges that there has been some concern and some things going on. So I will tell you personally, I do believe him. I do believe something happened. I believe Rasby 100%. It's very disappointing that there's been not a lot of media coverage in Hollywood about it. But I do believe him personally. I do. These are allegations. There's been no criminal charges at Chris Stokes, but personally, I believe Rasby. I think that a lot of the behavior Rasby has exhibited and a lot of the way that he has laid out the stories, the way he's very vocal, I just think to myself, why would someone, that's close to all these members, and the fact that he has put this out there and they have not, separated from him or disowned him. Because think about it, if Chris Stokes is a guy that they all work with, they were cool with, or whatever the case is, and allegations come, and if they don't believe Rasby, wouldn't they have all, been, separated? The fact that he's still in the mix, they have these close relationships like this, or at least at one point tried to have them, and I guess to some degree they do now, is very telling that there is an understanding. There's something going on there. So I believe Rasby. I think that the actions of everyone around him also expresses that. So the band gets together, the tour happens. I mean, they were making a lot of money. Orion, who is now known for his OnlyFans dick leak that happened a week ago or so. Orion is the brother of Omarion. Yes, Omarion Orion. Yes, the mother clearly likes names with O's. He was a part of the tour helping with the late night DJ experience. Apparently it was an opportunity for a lot of female fans who paid money for a meet and greet. There was a special little turn up, I guess, after the concert where all of them could come and they can dance with the members, take pictures and selfies and party with them. And so basically it was a bunch of women who paid money to basically get to twerk and dance with members of B2K for a VIP special. Listen, to each their own, okay? Because the new conversation right now is that Chris Brown is charging $1,000 for fans to have a meet and greet picture. And let me tell you, it's interesting. I'm not a Chris Brown fan, clearly. But I was thinking to myself, $1,000, people are critical about it. People say $1,000 should not happen, it's too much, it's whatever. I would say $1,000. I mean, would I pay $1,000 for Chris Brown? I wouldn't personally. But I think $1,000, I mean, I can see it. I mean, I think that's reasonable. I wouldn't do it, but I think $1,000 is reasonable. It's fair. If you're somebody who never get access to these celebrities, you're never going to see them, but you get an opportunity to get a really nice photo with somebody that you really, really like their music, okay, $1,000 meet and greet. I see it. I see it. Who would I spend $1,000 to see? Take a picture with? Who do I like? Taylor Swift. I'll drop $1,000. I'll drop $1,000 for Taylor Swift. I'd drop $1,000 for Taylor. I would drop $1,000 for Madonna. I would drop $1,000 for Janet. Hell, I'll drop $1,500 for Janet. Britney, I would give Britney $1,000. Yeah, I would do $1,000 for Britney too. I mean, clearly Beyonce, that's a given. Yeah, Beyonce. Rihanna, yes, I would do it for Rihanna. That's number one. Rihanna, I would drop $1,000. I would drop $2,000 for Rihanna. I mean, that's a little too much. But for Rihanna, I'll do it for Rihanna. I would have to get my coins in. I may not go to the concert, baby, but I'll definitely do that meet and greet for that $2,000. Don't make me buy a concert ticket. Or add the concert ticket to the package. But I would drop it for you, baby. I love her. Now, Rihanna, I would do that for Rihanna for sure. Taylor, I would do $1,000 for Taylor. But I would do about $2,000 for her. Janet, $1,500, $2,000. I'd do $2,000 for Janet too. Try to think anybody else that I like. No, that's about it. I can't imagine anybody else. And other people that I do like, I'd probably spend $500, but I don't know about Billie Eilish. I would do $1,000 for Billie Eilish. I would do $500 for Billie Eilish. Chris Brown at 1,000. Again, I'm not a part of Chris Brown code, but that's reasonable for Chris Brown. Chris Brown been in the game for a little bit for a long time. I can see it. I can see it for Bruno Mars too. Not a Bruno Mars fan like that, but I can see it for him. I can see it for The Weeknd as well. But I wouldn't pay for them like that. But I can see it. I don't like Kanye, but I can see 2,000 for Kanye. It's levels to this, clearly. But the way that he's been taking the pictures with his fans, they're very intimate. They're very, nice. He's really, he really makes it memorable for them. And they get to greet him and hang out with him. I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of dope. So, back to that. Back to the documentary. So, I don't know how much they charge the fans for that twerking and selfies thing. I don't know if they were worth 1,000 like Chris Brown. They probably charged 500. I don't remember the price. But they had something that was a little bit more lit. It was like a party. And they were twerking on these men. And I don't know, some of the men were single. Who knows if some of them went to the back with J Book or something. It's just interesting. So, anyway, concert, everything's going good. Apparently, there's a moment where Raspy said he felt triggered because Chris Stokes' name had came up in the conversation. And I guess he was under the impression they need security. And then maybe Chris Stokes was going to be coming to this Millennium Tour. And I think he felt triggered and he said he was leaving. He went public via social media and it was a huge thing. Now the promoters were completely frantic and Omarion had a diva moment. So there's a scene towards the end of episode 1 where he's on the phone getting really, really crunk. Okay, Omarion Granberry is getting really crunk with Raspy and she's getting really angry and saying, listen man, put together this, that, and the third. I'm just like, is this the response to give us your brother? Not his sibling, but his bandmate. Your bandmate is clearly triggered by sexual trauma, and he's clearly being in a position where he's gonna have to interact with a man that he has alleged has sexually abused him. Why are you worried about money right now? My whole thing is, why is it the logic or the mindset of how do I stop everything to make sure my friend is safe? To number one, ensure that Chris Stokes is not there at the concert. And then second, get to him and reassure him. Because if he had that reassurance, he would probably do it. So I'm going to find out what's happening in these X episodes. I will keep you all tuned. But y'all, it is a mess. And I just felt like Omarion looked like a total fucking jerk for doing that. So that's that. In movies, because I'm excited about movies. Movies are coming back. I saw Nope, which is now Jordan Peele's third consecutive number 1 at the box office, following Get Out and Us. Now Nope is now number 1 with Daniel Kaluuya and of course the incredible Keke Palmer and other great actors. I loved it. I know people are what the fuck? I don't get it. It's kind of confusing. I don't understand. Well, watch it again. And also now you can go look at the spoilers and try to make it make sense. But I fell in love with the film. Thought it was creative. Thought it was genius. It is not what the trailers make you think it is. It's just dope. It's dope. Nope, it's dope. Okay? It is phenomenal. And Keke Palmer deserves Oscar consideration. Maybe Best Supporting Actress nominations. Let's talk it up. Let's put it in contention, y'all. Y'all know I love awards. But Keke Palmer's performance is incredible. It was a knockout. This was the breakout film of her career. She's been around for a long time. She's 28 years old. But she's been in games since she was little. And I met Keke Palmer in person. I got a picture with her. No, I didn't drop 1,000 for it. And I met her many years ago at the BT Awards, and she's always been great. I actually had her on my radio show when I was in college. We did an interview during 2012 for her elections. Keke Palmer has a special place in my heart. Love her to death. She's the real deal. She's a SAG Award winner. She's an Emmy winner. She has just been an epitome of success. She's navigated all these interesting aspects of her life, and she has just been the most gracious, humble entertainer, the person we all rooting for. I just love Keke Palmer. And it's interesting how they've been covering her. She's always on gifts and things, but she's also just a bona fide talent. She can sing, she can dance, she can act. She's just great. She's just, she's the best. She's the best millennial in Hollywood. Now, there's been some comparisons lately, and I just want to get this out the way about Zendaya and how, Zendaya's younger than her and how, Zendaya career, why doesn't Keke have the kind of buzz like Zendaya and colorism this, colorism that? Listen, all that's true. But I just want to say this, is that, we always know this is true, but my issue is this. Keke is having a moment in her career to break through in her career. If we are shifting the conversation to compare and all of those things, to which Zendaya is very, very, very transparent about how colorism has advanced her career. She is no fool to that. She's very, very been vocal about it and has definitely confronted and addressed it in her own work. So that cannot be taken from Zendaya. Zendaya is very much aware of that. But that being said, in this moment for Kiki, why are we talking about Zendaya? It's like when people have success and people just have to talk about Beyonce in the conversation. Like sometimes you could just let people just be great without having to insert other people to the conversation, please, unless it's relevant or timely. I just felt like Kiki was having a successful moment. Now, if Kiki did not have a successful moment and people were trying to figure out or do something, maybe, but Kiki is having a good moment. Let's just focus on Kiki and celebrating that. We could talk all day about other things. Like if I have a successful moment, don't y'all tell me that things could have been much better for me faster if I was straight because of the way homophobia is in the community. Yes, that's true, but I don't want to hear that shit when I'm fucking winning. Like, God damn it, I know that. Kiki knows that. Like the fact that we're talking, why Zendaya is trending on Twitter when Kiki is having a weekend is just so that perpetuates the dominance and the anti-blackness or in the colorism that we're trying to avoid, right? Like we're censoring a light-skinned woman in this dark-skinned woman's success. Like that's not what we should be doing. We shouldn't even be like that's not the focus. Like the focus is Keke Palmer has a number one film in America. And she is killing it, and she's being considered for awards, and she's getting lots of praise for her performance, and that's what we should be talking about. And we should be talking about how Jordan Peele has continued to catapult dark-skinned actors throughout his career in his films, from Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out to, Duke Winston, and Us with Lupita. Like, Lupita, he's put them in. He's Dan Kaluuya getting and Nope, and now Keke Palmer. Like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that he has continued to amplify dark-skinned actors in all of his great films, and they have had box office success. Let's talk about that. Because to me, that's a great talk thing. That's how we have that conversation. Yeah. And Jordan Peele is a light-skinned man who's married to a white woman. And yet this man understands all of these issues and he's very intentional with his artwork. Congratulations. That's what I'm celebrating. And speaking of the continuation of that, Wakanda Forever. Black Panther is coming in November 12th or 11th. I think 11th. Yes, November 11th. Friday, November 11th, Wakanda Forever is coming. I did not know it was coming this soon. I didn't know it was coming this year. I kept hearing about it. I was like, wow, I just felt like yesterday that Black Panther came out. Wow. Time is flying, y'all. Oh, goodness. Like, was it like 2018 it came out? Time is flying. Wakanda Forever is coming out. And Angela Bassett's in it. Lupita's back in it. Duke, again, is in it. It's interesting. Dan Kaluuya couldn't do it because he's from Nope. It's interesting that Ryan Coogler's directing it, and Ryan Coogler is funny. Like, Michael B. Jordan, for what we know, is not in it either. And the late Chadwick Boseman, his memory is still being, remembered in a memorial, in a mural in the movie. But it's looking exciting. A lot of people were scared that the casting choices was going to work. But I'm sorry, y'all. The moment I saw that trailer and it was over, and the music and Tim's and All Right and all that, it's just tears, and they're gonna get all of my fucking money like they did the first time. Just, it's one of those things where it's like, take my money now. Take it now. I'm going. The spirit of Chadwick Boseman will be in the film. I'm excited who the next Black Panther will be. If they do it right, it's supposed to be that anti-vaxxer. Hopefully she's changed her mind. But her character would be the next Black Panther. Shuri would be. So we're going to see, what happens. But, we'll see. I just know that there's been a lot of talk about if they're going to keep the same narrative with the comic book. Because Black Panther, the character, is just, yes. So Leticia Wright is who I think will be the next Black Panther. But Michaela Cole is in the film, and Winston Duke is in the film. He's coming back. I'm excited. There's a lot of great things coming. Dan Kaluuya couldn't be in this one. He was so adorable in the last film.
But there's a lot of great actors that are going to be, doing their thing. Danielle Guerrilla, Lupita Nyong'o. I mean, they're all going to be back. So I'm excited. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I remember Forrest Whitaker and his son Denzel Whitaker was in the last film, which was kind of dope too. But yeah, Wakanda Forever is going to be everything. I'm not into super action films, but that one I could watch for a lifetime. So excited. And other news, shows are great. P Valley keeps getting better. It's like wine that just gets better with time. So excited about it. Just in love with this film. This show. If you have not watched it, watch it. It's on Stars. Download Stars. Get it caught up. Like, I cannot highly enough praise P Valley. Just watch it. And a show that you don't need to watch, but I just keep talking about it because I enjoyed the show. Baddie South, my addiction, my obsession. Baddie South is going to forever be that show. It's trash TV. It's on Zeus Network. And they also, for those who've been watching, Bad Boys, Club, I suppose, they're having a great... What are they having? That show they're having. They're having a great show, but they're doing auditions right now in Houston. Well, they've already taped them. And let me just say, the first episode of that was also very spicy, salacious. A couple of familiar faces. And yes, just a lot of mess. That's all I can say on that. And yeah. And other news, this week was full of surprises. It was a great time. It was wonderful. I know some of you are like, okay, has that big announcement come yet that I've been like teasing forever? No, it has not. But it's coming. And that's all I can say. It's coming. But there were so many other great surprises that I felt like it would just hold over. But, we'll see. We'll see if this will be the lucky week. Because the clock is ticking for me personally. I'm just like so like bubbly. And like everyone is like, I have not been leaking it. I've been honoring it. But it just gets so hard personally to keep this in. But I'm getting closer and closer and closer and closer. So we'll see. We'll see soon. Hopefully it does. But as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.